What's going on, baseball fans? How you doing? So in tonight's stream, I'm going to go over the biggest needs for each team. Let's get to it. And what is going on, baseball fans? Hello. 45 people in the chat. What is going on, everyone? Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Unfortunately, I'm not wearing the Santa beard tonight. I'm sorry if I have let some of you down, but I can't wear that beard anymore. That thing was just, that thing killed me the other night. I don't know how Santa Claus does it, but hope everyone had a good Christmas. Hope everyone has had a good weekend overall, a good Monday today. So tonight, we're just going to we're just going to get right to it tonight. I'm going to go over, we're deep into this lockout right now. Hopefully, we have something resolved maybe mid-January. Hopefully by February. I hope by February. I absolutely pray that we have an end to this lockout. But we're only doing what we can. But I got some good content coming up for you. Again, we're going to keep doing our live stuff as much as we can. Monday through Thursday night is the goal. I have a couple of things planned for everyone. I have some videos coming out, expect this week sometime the best moments of 2021, the worst moments of 2021. I would also like to do another MLB The Show rebuild. Working actually on the Mets right now. I know you might be thinking, well, the Mets, they're already pretty much rebuilt. Well, hey, we're gonna make some more touches and see how many World Series we can win with the Mets in 3 seasons on MLB The Show. Also, I have a fun video planned for everyone. I actually just got together today with John of Baseball Trade Values, which is one of my favorite websites. That's a website that has grown in popularity. I'm going to be doing an interview with John of Baseball Trade Values. He is the owner and the creator of the website. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm really excited to talk to him about that website. Just get to know just the history of the site. Just get to know more about John. I think they do such a great job over on that website. So I'm very excited for that interview. So please be on the lookout for that as well. Again, we got a lot of content coming up. We're doing everything we can over here to grind through this lockout. But for tonight, I'm going to focus on what I think teams need to accomplish once the lockout is over. I think there is absolutely a lot more work to do, even for some teams that have even done a lot. Teams like the Mets, who have already had a big offseason, I still think there's some things that they need to accomplish. This offseason is far from over, even when the lockout is over. So, before I do get started, if anyone is new, think about hitting that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20K by opening day. We've actually been getting quite a bit of traffic over here on this channel. So if anyone is new, think about subscribing. Everyone, hit that like button for me now if you can. That's really going to help this get out there into the YouTube world, onto that algorithm. The like button helps tremendously. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so you get notified of all the future streams. Share the stream. Share any of the videos that I've been putting out lately. But yeah, that is all. So let's get to it here. I'm actually going to do all 30 teams tonight. I'm going to run through this as quick as we can. I'm not going to rush too much, but I'm also not going to take too long because, hey, 30 teams, that's a lot of teams. So I'm going to go division by division. Let me actually get the music started. Let's get the mood right. We got to have our music over here. And here we go. Alrighty. So let's start off here. Hey, let's get my Red Sox out of the way first. Let's talk about the American League East. There's still a lot to do My Red Sox, the Yankees haven't really done anything so far this offseason. The Rays have made a couple of moves. I still think there's something that they could do. Hey, with the Orioles, we'll get to the Orioles here in a second. And obviously, the Toronto Blue Jays, they definitely could still make a couple of moves even after bringing in someone like Kevin Gausman. So let's take a look here. I'm going to be using Fangraphs primarily to kind of help us out here. So let's start off with the Toronto Blue Jays. I think that's a fun way to start things off. So the Toronto Blue Jays, I think personally, if we take a look at where they ranked last year in terms of pitching, not starting pitching, the starting pitching was very good in the second half. Very good. Ranked in I believe the top 5 in the second half last year. However, their problem was the bullpen all season last year. If you take a look at Toronto, 25th on the season. I mean, it was not an effective bullpen. They just were blowing a lot of games late. They couldn't come through when you needed them. But if you take a look at this bullpen, you got some promise. Jordan Romano, I do like Jordan Romano. There's a lot to like with him. You got guys like Meza, Simber. You did bring in Yimi Garcia. I did like that move. Julian Merriweather, he actually looked pretty good early on, but then he just couldn't. He got hurt at one point. He couldn't really find his groove. I can't remember if he actually had COVID or not. Can't fully remember, but either way, he got off to a pretty good start, and after that, he just couldn't really get couldn't get himself going. So I do really think that the Blue Jays need to address this bullpen any way you can. One guy that I'm thinking of right now, let me actually pull up the free agent tracker here. Taking a look here, there's plenty of options still available if you were the Toronto Blue Jays. I mean, I think you got, obviously, at the top here, Colin McHugh, Kenley Jansen. During my Christmas Eve stream, that was my gift to the Toronto Blue Jays. I feel like a veteran guy like a Kenley Jansen would really come in handy. Would probably cost a little bit more than someone like a Ryan Tepera or a Colin McHugh, but I think they got some money to spend, or even someone like an Andrew Chafin. I really think, or maybe you could take a chance on someone like Jimmy Nelson. Didn't pitch too much last season, but he was effective when he did. You got some other options. Maybe someone like Joe Kelly. That would be pretty nice for middle relief. Maybe someone like Adam Ottavino as well. I don't think he's going to cost too much. They're projecting him here for $8 million per year. He really struggled in the second half last year, but I really think overall, I think personally for the Toronto Blue Jays, you got to add something for this bullpen. Let's go back to the Blue Jays here. And then there's obviously the hole that was left behind by Marcus Semien. I still think this offense is extremely good. George Springer last year, he did miss a lot of time. I think a good full season of George Springer, that's really going to be nice. He had a good season in 342 plate appearances. Still hit 264. Still had a very good on base, a very good slugging, 22 home runs. So a full season of George Springer, healthy. I think that's going to be really nice. But if you take a look, you got Santiago Espinal penciled in at third. The one thing about him that I actually did not mind at all was that 376 on base. That's a pretty nice on base percentage. If you're batting him ninth in the order and you got an on base percentage in the 9 spot, oh man, that sets up the top of the order extremely nicely, very nicely. And actually, take a look at his defense from 2021. He was very good defensively. I mean, honestly, I think if you're the Toronto Blue Jays and you go into the season with Espinal as your third baseman, I really think you're okay. I mean, you got good defense there. Sure, could you add another bat for this lineup? Sure, absolutely. You got Randall Grichuk out there. He's not really too much of a bat. Could maybe you find an upgrade over a Kevin Biggio? Sure, but I think right now the main priority for the Toronto Blue Jays is the bullpen. Let's turn to who do we got next? Let's go to the Blue Jays, or no, let's go to the Orioles next. Sorry, the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, there's not really too much here when you're looking at the Baltimore Orioles. You're looking at guys like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez coming up from the minor leagues. Those guys are going to be huge boosts to this team. They're going to be key players for this team. I think for the Orioles, I don't know, maybe add something else for the starting rotation, maybe a right-hander. I mean, you got you added Jordan Lyles. I thought that was okay. That's a guy that's going to give you some innings. I think you just need some guys that can give you some innings. Maybe add some guys in free agency that maybe you could trade at the deadline that can maybe bring in some more prospects, that could even help you out in the next couple of seasons or so. I think, again, I don't think you need to go crazy of the Orioles. Maybe bring in some guys on cheap contracts. Maybe you could bring in a guy like Danny Duffy, who, he could help restore his value a little bit. He didn't even pitch for the Dodgers in the second half. I think that could be a pretty nice pickup. Maybe even someone like Matthew Boyd. One of these guys where even Pineda, bring him in on like a cheaper contract where they can restore their value a little bit, and they could be good. They could be good trade pieces at the deadline if they're healthy. Could you bring back Matt Harvey maybe? Oh, Josh Lubchinski in the chat said Matt Harvey. Maybe even someone like Garrett Richards. I think Garrett Richards is better for the bullpen at this point. If I were the Orioles, I'd say, maybe go after a righty because you got so many lefties in that rotation already. Maybe like someone like Pineda, I think could be pretty good. So I'd like that. Maybe someone like Garrett Richards. He was way better in the bullpen last year as a starter. No bueno. But that's what I'm thinking for the Orioles. Bring in someone cheap. Maybe you can get something for him at the deadline. Let's take a look here. Let's move on here. We got the Orioles done. We got the Blue Jays done. Let's take a look at the Rays, shall we? The Rays. Hey, I picked this team to win the World Series last year. I really thought this team had the mojo to win the whole thing. I really did. But you know where they came up short? Starting pitching. Starting pitching really came up short. McClanahan obviously is a great option. He's only getting better as time goes by. Rasmussen, he had a good year last year. More of an opener kind of a guy, but they do have him slotted for the number 2 spot. And then obviously bringing Corey Kluber. I really like that move. I think they're going to find a way to manage him very well. I think they're going to find, really with Kluber, if you can just get 5 innings out of this guy, I think you can get a really good season out of him. 150 innings, I think, would be the goal for Corey Kluber. He does have some incentives, so I think they're going to find a way to get the most out of him. And then you got someone like Ryan Yarbrough in the back end. He wasn't too effective last season. And Luis Patino is another young arm. I'm excited to see what he can do. Maybe you could add something else for this rotation. I don't think you really need to. I think you got a lot of options, but I would love if they could find, you don't have Glasnow this year. It would be awesome if they could add something, maybe even via a trade. In the Christmas Eve stream, I did have them. I gave them Frankie Montas from the A's. I think that they could get a deal done for someone like a Frankie Montas. If you take a look at what a trade could look like for him, I think that would be a really nice option. And they have the prospects to get a deal done. Taking a look at Frankie Montas on the Oakland A's, he's got a good amount of value, really good amount of value. And the reason is because of the age, because of the contract, because of the performance. Let me actually pull up Frankie Montas here. Let's take a look. Oakland. All right, going to their payroll. He is due, I think, around maybe $5 to $6 million. Yeah, 5.2 is his projected arbitration for this year. So he's under control for 2 seasons. I think that kind of fits the mold of what the Rays, they like to do. He's not too expensive, and he's going to give you some pretty good numbers. Look at the season that he had last year. Overall, a really good season. He got busted with the PEDs in 2019. Wasn't very effective in 2020, but he came back with a really good season in 2021. Almost 200 innings, 32 starts. I think that's what the Rays need. A guy that is going to be just a horse for you. Someone that is just going to give you some innings every 5th day, and he's going to be effective. I think that's what the Rays really need. I just feel like they just lacked that, and it really showed in the postseason. Their bullpen just ran out of gas. So that's what I think, honestly. I think for a Frankie Montas, he has a value of 39.6 or 39.6 million. The Rays have so many prospects where you can get a deal done. Honestly, I kind of like the pairing because with the Rays right now, you got a lot of guys in your infield that, they could be there for years to come. And the Rays, they got some pretty decent infield prospects. You got someone like Brujan here, where you could send back over. And then, maybe even just throw in someone else. You also got Xavier Edwards there as well. You got someone like Bradley, and you have something here. I think maybe a 2-3 prospects for Montas. I really think that could be a good deal. That's just my opinion, though. Again, that's just what I think the Rays could do. Add like a guy. And then imagine if you added someone like a Frankie Montas, And then you got Tyler Glasnow coming back. I mean, that could be a pretty disgusting rotation in 2023. Glasnow, Montez, and then you got to think for the Rays, you got those two guys that would be coming off of the books because they would be free agents, so that would clear up money for the Rays as well once their deals are done. And then imagine a rotation with Tyler Glasnow, Frankie Montez, McClanahan, Luis Patino. I mean, that's not too bad. And then also Shane Baz as well. Don't forget about Shane Baz. I forgot to mention him as well. Again, I think it's a guy that, can really just give you a good start every fifth day. Someone like Frankie Montez, I think, would be really nice. Let's move on here. Let's move on. Who do we got next? We got my Red Sox next. Let's talk about the Red Sox, shall we? Well, they've already made one move this offseason. They've made a couple of moves this offseason. But the one move that I think that really turned heads was the Hunter Renfroe, Jackie Bradley Jr. trade. I do like the trade. It was able to get them some pretty good prospects in David Hamilton and Alex Benelis. Who knows? Maybe if Alex Benelis, he really does something, maybe that could be the guy that ends, if they don't get Rafael Devers signed up to an extension. I still think they can. I would love them to, but if worse comes to worse, if you end up losing Rafael Devers, maybe Alex Benelis, who's got some power, I mean, that could end up being a nice option down the road if you're not able to bring back a Rafael Devers. And then also just a solid infield prospect in David Hamilton. They signed James Paxton. You brought in Rich Hill. So, I like this offseason so far for the Red Sox. I think there's some nice moves, but I still think there's some moves to be made. You got I want to say a log jam, but there is a little bit to wonder about here. Is Jackie Bradley Jr. going to be an everyday player? Is he going to be more of a platoon, fourth outfielder kind of a guy? Could you bring in another right-handed bat? Bobby Dahlbeck, I think personally could be trade bait. Came on really well in the second half last year down the stretch, finished with 25 home runs. He struck out a lot. That was one thing with Bobby Dahlbeck, but man, oh man, that's a decent power bat, only 26 years old. I think a team would love to have someone like a Bobby Dahlbeck, but especially with someone like Tristan Casas coming up, I think we're going to see Tristan Casas rather soon, so we'll have to wait and see. But you got some things here that you could still do. Kike Hernandez, we know he can go play in center field. So could you move Kike to center field, bring in a second baseman? Do you keep him at second? Could you bring in another outfielder possibly? Maybe a right-handed bat like Isaiah Suzuki, where you can kind of have that platoon there with Jackie Bradley Jr. What's going on with Jarren Duran? I mean, there's a lot of things still to wonder about with this Red Sox lineup. So this is a to be continued for the Red Sox. For I think the Red Sox, also I forgot to mention they signed Michael Wacha as well. But I think for the Red Sox, if you can go get a guy for the bullpen, someone you can count on, I would love someone like a Ryan Tepera. I think that would be a really nice addition overall. I mean, I would love an Andrew Chafin. I think that would be great. Someone you can just count on, for a full season. Would Colin McHugh entertain coming back to Boston? Remember he was with Boston in 2020, ended up not even pitching for them. So could you maybe see someone like a Colin McHugh? Maybe. I don't think we're going to see Adam Ottavino. I would love to see Joe Kelly come back. Joe Kelly Fight Club forever, but I don't know. I think you could see Bloom go after one of these guys. I also think Bloom, you could see him even go down here, where there's one of these guys down here where Chaim Bloom sees something that a lot of other people don't, So that's one thing about Bloom. He can go find a diamond in the rough. I mean, there were some guys last year where they were able to do, some pretty good work out of that bullpen. And I think Bloom could definitely do the same thing. Could you maybe, I'm always looking at those Rays players. Now, I don't think... So Chaz Rowe, I wonder if Bloom could bring in someone like him. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out, but he had a labrum tear in his shoulder. I could totally see Bloom, maybe bringing him in on a super cheap deal if he's healthy enough. So, I don't know. Maybe something like that. Or maybe like a Juris Familia. He had... What was his season last year? I mean, actually, it wasn't too bad last season. 3.94 ERA, 4.4 FIP. So... I could totally see Bloom doing something like that. Maybe even someone like Ian Kennedy had a rough go with the Phillies after getting traded there. So again, I could definitely see Bloom going after, someone in this scrap heap. and like I was mentioning earlier, he did bring in some guys. You remember he brought in Hanzo Robles, and Hanzo Robles ended up being really solid for the Red Sox. Let me actually pull up his stats. There were some times he didn't look too great, but with the Red Sox overall, he was really solid. His strikeouts per nine went up, his ERA went down, his FIP went down. So I think with Bloom, he sees things in these pictures where no one else is really looking at these guys, but he sees something that you can work with. So Hanzo Robles ended up being a solid addition. And so I think an under-the-radar move like that is something to expect for the Red Sox. Again, I think the bullpen is really where the Red Sox need to, Matt Barnes, he really struggled, after, the whole sticky stuff thing. I don't know. Garrett Whitlock, what do you end up doing with him? I don't know. But my vote would be bullpen. I think you need to get someone that you can count on for a full season. That's why I do like someone like Joe Kelly. He's shown where, sure, he can have some issues with the walks, but he's shown to be very just durable. I know he ended up getting hurt last season. I think in the postseason he came out of the game. But Joe Kelly, he has been someone that's just been extremely durable in his career. I mean, just every season, this guy just gives you innings. Obviously, he throws hard. It's just the walks with him. They've always been pretty high. Actually, I believe this past season he set a career high in walks per nine. So I would love someone like Joe Kelly to come back to Boston, but that's just me. Alrighty, moving on. Enough talking about my Red Sox. That's enough Giraffe Neck Robbie for tonight. Let's talk about the Yankees, shall we? First and foremost, you need a shortstop. You've needed a shortstop for the last 2 seasons. I'm not sure where. I don't know. I don't know. I saw it a while ago with Gleyber Torres. The defensive numbers were never there, and you just kept running him out there. And I'm thinking, I understand the Yankees. They want to have these guys get better, and make improvements, but he just wasn't making any improvements. I don't know. Now, I know the Yankees, everyone, all of Yankee land on Twitter, you got so many guys out there on Twitter that are like, oh man, the Yankees, they need to sign this guy, trade for this guy, sign this guy. I don't know. It's so many fans, so many Yankee fans. I'm not saying all Yankee fans, but Twitter land for Yankee fans, it cracks me up sometimes because it's have you noticed what Brian Cashman's done in the last few seasons? Yeah, he added Garrett Cole. He's added some guys, but everyone's still in that George Steinbrenner mode. It's not, George Steinbrenner is not here anymore. It's not that same Yankee team. And it's it blows my mind when I see it's everyone still thinks Yankees all the money. Yes, they have the money, but they're not that same George Steinbrenner led team. You got to let it go. They're not that team anymore. They're not that franchise anymore. And they're not going to, yes, they'll spend money, but they're not going to go throw money all over the place like Steinbrenner did. Steinbrenner was huge on that. That's not how Steinbrenner. Yes, he'll go spend some money on someone like Garrett Cole. Yeah, because that to me was kind of a smart signing. Go after someone like that. But that's just me. But for me, the Yankees, that's why I don't think they're going to go get Correa. Again, there's always that possibility where maybe they go out and go get someone big like that. You got to remember they can do that. But will they? I don't know. But can they? Yes, they can. Will they want to? I don't know if they go after someone hard like Correa. I think Story is interesting. Story, to me, he gets more and more interesting by the day because I wonder what the market is for Story. If you go back to the trade deadline, the market ended up not being anything. But everyone was trashing on the Rockies for that. Everyone was trashing on the Rockies oh, how do you not trade Trevor Story? Because they probably weren't getting anything for him. They're probably getting peanuts offered for him where it didn't even make any sense because at the time, there wasn't much of a market for Trevor Story, but he also wasn't having a great season. There was something going on with his throws. It was always something. There was something with Trevor Story last year. He ended up finishing with an okay season at the plate, but an okay season in Coors Field, I don't know. That's why I think teams are a little weary of Story. I think they like him as a player, but I wonder, you see this $25 million per year. Is he going to get that? I don't know. I think Story is someone where his market could really crash, and he could take that Marcus Semien approach that Semien did last year with the Blue Jays. Maybe Story signs something like a 1-year deal and, restore his value. So I think Story would make a lot of sense for the Yankees. I've been saying this. My best friend, who's a big Yankee fan, he's been saying it for, we've both been saying it. It's like Trevor Story, the defense would be amazing. That's what the Yankees need. Their defense up the middle. Gary Sanchez, that guy is the equivalent of a scarecrow out in the cornfield. He can't do anything. And center field, Aaron Hicks has a broken leg every day. Gleyber Torres obviously was not effective defensively. Someone like Trevor Story, if the arm is okay, I can't remember if it was with his shoulder or his elbow. I can't fully remember, but there was something supposedly that was a little off with his arm. If the arm's okay, I think he'd be a huge upgrade. And if you were able to get Trevor Story in a 1-year deal, maybe help him restore that value a little bit. He can go back onto the free agent market next season, just like Marcus Semien did. Marcus Semien, look what he did. He got a huge contract. And he took a 1-year deal. He took a chance on himself. I think Trevor Story could absolutely take that approach. And I think the Yankees, they would be all over that. That would make sense because they're not going to be spending a ton of money like you would on someone like a Carlos Correa. I think Story would make a ton of sense if you can get him on a 1-year deal, maybe a 1-year deal, maybe with like a player option. I think that could make a lot of sense. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with the Yankees. I also think the Yankees, to me, I don't know. I think they need a number 2. I'm sorry, but I'm looking. Jordan Montgomery was good last season. He was very good. Good numbers. 3.83 ERA. The FIP was right around there as well. 157 and a third innings over 30 starts. I just don't see Jordan Montgomery as a number 2. I see him as a good solid number 3 or 4 in your rotation. Maybe Severino comes back and does something, but he's a bit of a wild card. I wouldn't count on someone like a Luis Severino. I think he absolutely could come back, give you 180 innings, 30 starts, solid numbers. Yeah, that would be a huge lift, but why not add a guy, someone, but the question is who? That's where maybe you could turn to the A's. That's the one thing with the Yankees. They have good prospects. Maybe go out to the A's. Go get someone like a Chris Bassett. Maybe even someone like a Sean Manaea. Something like that. Maybe someone like a Frankie Montez. I think that could be pretty solid. The starting pitchers right now on the market, you're not really looking at a lot right now. You got Carlos Rodon. Clayton Kershaw. I don't think Kershaw would do it. But really, there's not really many options. I thought someone like Kevin Gausman would have been really nice for the Yankees. I think that would have been a nice 1-2 with Garrett Cole and Kevin Gausman. I would have really liked that. But free agency, I'm not sure if anything's quite there. I think where you have to go to is the trade market. You got the Oakland A's. You got the Cincinnati Reds. Could you turn again to a Luis Castillo trade? Yeah, but they could have had Luis Castillo supposedly, but they didn't pull the trigger. So, I don't know. Maybe his value, I think his value came down a little bit this past season, so maybe the Yankees could maybe go after it. Because his value was very high last year. A full season this year. He got off to a really bad start. He looked better after that first month. So, I think Luis Castillo is someone that you could go after. I think that would be a really nice compliment for Garrett Cole. If you take a look here, let's pull up the Reds. Luis Castillo, I think he has a value of around $65 million. I don't fully remember. 68.3. So the Yankees, they could definitely pull off a trade for someone like Castillo. Absolutely. So that's what I think for the Yankees. Go get a shortstop. If it's not Story, I also want to mention that too. I forgot to mention. If it's not Trevor Story, you could go for a stopgap guy, which is what reports have indicated. Me and my best friend, big Yankee fan, we both agree someone like Jose Iglesias would be pretty nice. He hit pretty well for the Red Sox last year. He's going to, his defense wasn't what it was last year, but I think with the Yankees, give him that job. I think he'll be more motivated on this Yankee team. With the Angels, I remember reading somewhere he wasn't quite motivated with the Angels, so I think Iglesias on the Yankees would be really nice. Could you go, someone like a Simmons, where you're not really going to get anything with a bat, but you're definitely going to get a glove. That's what the Yankees need. They need defense up the middle. So that's what I'm thinking for the Yankees. So Let's move on here. We're done with the American League East. Let's move on to the National League East. I'm going to bounce back between American and National League. I'm going to go East, East, Central, Central, West, West. So save the West for last. The West for last. Is that a pun? But yeah, I saved that for last for all of you out on the West Coast that are watching. I know you guys are behind a little bit, so I kept that for last. But anyway, let's move on here. National League East. So obviously the Mets have been the story of the National League East so far. The Marlins have made a couple of moves. The Braves, what the heck's going on with Freddie Freeman? I got no idea. The Nationals, what the heck are they doing? I don't even know. The Phillies, they've been in there. Not really too much as of right now, but there's some fun stuff going on here in the National League East. And again, obviously, it's the Mets that have just completely ruled the offseason. But just remember, baseball fans, just remember, you don't win the World Series in the offseason. I think the Mets, let's talk about those Mets. Let's get the Mets out of the way, because we've heard so much about the Mets. Let's talk about them first. Hold on, let me open up here the depth charts. Where we got Miami. All right, let's start off with the Mets. Here we go. So the New York Mets, I mean, obviously, in case you've been living under a rock, Max Scherzer signed with the Mets. A nice, decent, like $43 million per season. That's kind of a bargain if you ask me. Sarcasm, yes. But I really like what the Mets did with Marte, Canna, and Escobar. I've said this before. What I really like about the Eduardo Escobar and Canna moves is the versatility. Canna, he can play all three outfield spots. Escobar can play a little infield. He can play some outfield as well. Maybe even play a little first base. But, Marte, that's a good top of the order bat that the Mets desperately needed. When the I believe in the number 2 spot last year, Marte or the Mets, they ranked, I believe, in the bottom 5. The number 1 spot when Nimmo was playing, Nimmo was fantastic out of the leadoff spot. Great on base, good average. Marte, I think, is going to be a really nice number 2. And I think you can move Francisco Lindor. Will they put him as the number 3? I could totally see Buck Showalter having Lindor bat like 5th or 6th, taking some pressure off of him a little bit. Because he did have a bad season last year. I think Showalter, it's going to be really interesting with Francisco Lindor this year. Because I totally think Showalter, he's kind of one of those minds where he has his own ways of doing things. I could totally see him either batting him 3rd, maybe, giving him that talk, like, hey, you're one of our key guys here. You're batting 3rd. I know you had a tough season last year, but I don't care about that season. It's a new season. You're going to be our number 3 hitter. I believe in you. Or I could totally see him as well, batting him 5th or 6th, taking that pressure off of him. You could have Alonso bat 3rd, maybe have Cano bat 4th, maybe Canna bat 4th or Escobar. I think Lindor, it's going to be really interesting to see how Showalter handles him this year. I think he's going to be a big part. I think Lindor has a good season. I think he's going to have a pretty solid season. I'm going to say Lindor, around 280, maybe 20, 25 home runs. I think somewhere, maybe on base, 350, 360. I could see Lindor having a good season. I think Showalter's going to be a big part of that. I really like what the Mets have going for versatility-wise with their position players. I think the big need, listen, I know the rotation is really nice on paper. I love it. DeGrom, Scherzer, Walker, Carrasco. Yes, that looks great on paper. DeGrom, health risk. Scherzer, dead arm in the playoffs. Walker, bad second half. Carlos Carrasco, just had something done with his elbow. Didn't have a good season last year. McGill, Jolly Olive made a good video on Tyler McGill. Please go watch that. A very solid video. Pretty similar advanced numbers to Jacob deGrom when he was in his first year. So please go take a look at that. Jolly Olive made a great video on him. So could Tyler McGill take a step forward this year for the Mets? Sure. I think, me personally, I'm always someone, I like to, I'm a better safe than sorry kind of a person, and I saw what happened with the Padres last season. We all saw what happened with the Padres last season. Really good-looking rotation coming into the season, but the end of the season, look at where they were. They were counting on Jake Arrieta, to save them. And their whole rotation just went down the tubes. I mean, you had Joe Musgrove. He was great. But after that, what did you have? You didn't have anything. Darvish, he was having a bum hip or a bum back or whatever. I mean, he made 30 starts, but he just wasn't as effective as you thought he could have been. So I think with the Mets, if you can go get someone, and I'm looking here, righty, go get yourself a lefty. Again, I think Sean Manaea is the perfect fit. I'm not sure if the Athletics would want to take on Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil, supposedly the rumors are that they're going to try and trade him. Maybe Dominic Smith as well. One or the other, maybe both. But I think Sean Manaea, go get that guy. He's got 1 year left on that until he's a free agent. Go get him. He's right there. He had a good season last year. I think that would be great. So as for free agents, you do have some options. I think someone like Sean Manaea, the Mets don't have a lot of prospect depth, but someone like him is gettable, I think. So if you still want to focus on the money, you want to keep your prospects, is Tyler Anderson a guy you want to go get? Maybe. I think that would be a low-cost option. I don't know if that's really the way you go. Carlos Rodon, I mean, that's the big ticket picture on the market. Well, Kershaw as well. But I don't think Kershaw's coming to New York. Could you go get Rodon? Again, I'd rather have a sure thing. With Rodon, it's, you got the shoulder. Who knows what's going on there? When we're looking at, let me pull up the starting pictures here. You got some, maybe like Matthew Boyd, but again, is that a sure thing? Danny Duffy, not a sure thing. Yusei Kikuchi, bad second half last year, but I could totally see something like that maybe. You got options on the free agent market. I think personally, Sean Manaea is the best fit. I think he is the best guy out there. I don't think you need to go out there. I don't think you're going to be able to go get a Luis Castillo. I think a lot of people don't realize Luis Castillo. I think that's going to be out of the Mets price range. I don't think that gets it done. I don't think they're going to be able to get it done personally. But again, Sean Manaea, to me, that's the perfect one. Again, I don't know if you could include McNeil in that deal. I don't know if the A's would really want McNeil. Even without McNeil, I think you could get a deal done. So that's where I'm at with the Mets. Go get some starting rotation depth. I think that would be really nice. And then maybe an arm for the bullpen. I think an arm for the bullpen. You lost Aaron Loop. That could be really nice for them. Let me actually pull up here. The bullpen, I think, still looks pretty good. They had a good season last year. They ranked 10th overall in bullpen. Edwin Diaz. I mean, you never know with Edwin Diaz. But overall, it's solid for the most part. Trevor May, good setup guy. Seth Lugo. I like me some Seth Lugo. You got some good options here in middle relief. I think if you can go get yourself a sure thing, out of the relief pitching market, I think that'd be really nice. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Phillies, shall we? Phillies haven't really done much except for the Corey Knebel contract, 1 year deal. Really did like that. I think that's a nice move. As of right now, Fangraphs projects him as the closer. It's also Jose Alvarado. But I think Knebel, get that stuff in that closer role. I think is exactly what they need. You got some options here in this bullpen. I stress it. I know it. I make it sound easy, but I think you got to go get someone. Honestly, I would really love someone like, if you can go get someone like an Andrew Chafin, I think that would be great. If you can go get yourself a veteran guy like that, Andrew Chafin, I think that would make a lot of sense. I think that would be great. So maybe someone like Colin McHugh will give you a different look. I think Colin McHugh is a really interesting free agent because he's just going to give you that different look. He's not going to be a guy that blows you away by any means, but he's got so much movement on his pitches. He just has a unique arm angle. I think Colin McHugh, he's a very interesting free agent, and I think he could actually be a low-key signing after the lockout is over. But that's where I'm at with the Phillies. I think, personally, you got to just get that bullpen going. I think for the lineup needs something. Gregorius, honestly, I think they have an option in Bryson Stott. Bryson Stott had himself a very good season. Or a very good fall ball season. Taking a look at his numbers in fall ball this offseason, he was very good. Hit .318, a .445 on base, a couple of homers, 31 RBIs. He'd like the slugging to be a little better, but as of right now, only 24 years old. As he gets a little older, I think add a little more strength, and I think Bryson Stott ends up being a really solid player. I think Bryson Stott really give him a chance to win that job out of out of spring training. I think that could be a great option. Could you maybe, I don't know what you could get for Didi Gregorius at this point. The value is just shot for him, but I don't know what you do with him. I don't know. It's, hey, my best friend out there, he's a big Yankee fan. He loves himself some Didi Gregorius. Could you maybe see the Yankees turn to, go buy low on Didi? Could you have Didi Gregorius come back to Yankee Stadium? I mean, why not? He was great for you. That's one thing I could maybe see. He's not going to give you amazing defense overall. He's, like, if you take a look at the defense, it was a 1.8. Just the offense was really bad. But take a look at what he did for the Yankees in 2019. I mean, he only hit 238 with a 276 on base. But where he was good was his defense. That was the one thing. He's kind of like, in my opinion, someone like a Xander Bogaerts, where he'll make the routine play, but he's not going to give you a lot when it comes to defensive runs saved. So that's pretty much what he is. He doesn't have a lot of range, but he can make the routine play. Again, shown here by the defensive runs saved. The UZR actually wasn't great last year, but maybe the Yankees could bring him in, really buy low on him. I mean, that sounds like a Yankee kind of a move. And Gregorius, it's that left-handed bat. It would go well in Yankee Stadium, and maybe they could fix something up with him. Where he's a -9. So if the Yankees take that contract, I mean, I don't see why they. I mean, I think that sounds like a Yankee. That sounds like a Brian Cashman kind of a move, So I'll have to keep an eye out for that. I wonder if he ends up being the shortstop. I could totally see Dombrowski, making some kind of a trade for Gregorius. They've already told him, like, hey, you're not guaranteed the job. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But for the rest of the Phillies, I think another thing too, how could I forget? I've said this multiple times. Kyle Schwarber. I think Kyle Schwarber makes a ton of sense. I'm sorry, but Adam Hazley, I don't know, man. I know he's a first-round pick, 8th pick, but I don't know, man. Adam Hazley, I could see as maybe like a 4th outfielder, but I don't know, man. If it were me and you got Schwarber sitting out there, I think that should be your left fielder right there. Or if you get the DH, you can keep Hazley out there if you want. But I think they need someone like Schwarber atop that lineup. Kind of like the Mets. They weren't very good at the top of the order. The Mets were actually better in the leadoff spot. But just like the Mets, the Phillies in the number 2 spot were one of the worst teams last year. Have Schwarber be your number 2 bat. I mean, Schwarber's numbers batting second are fantastic. I believe over a 400 on base. Right around a 300 average. Schwarber would be fantastic in the number 2 spot for the Phillies. So that's what I think. Bullpen arm, Kyle Schwarber. Maybe try and trade Didi Gregorius. Give Bryson Stott the job if he can do well during spring training. I think that would be a nice injection of youth. And then Alec Boehm, I wouldn't worry too much about him. I still can't believe I'm seeing people saying, like, go. I don't understand. Like, Philly fans, I've seen a lot of them saying, go at Chris Bryant. I'm like, dude, you got Alec Boehm. He was the 3rd pick overall in 2018. He was really good in 2020. And they're just giving up on him. It's like, what do you... I know Chris Bryant can go play left field. I know that. But I have seen people out there saying, trade Alec Boehm and go get Chris Bryant. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? I don't see what the point of that is. Chris Bryant would be a nice fit. That would be a good fit in left field. But to me, I think if you can add a lefty bat, I think the Phillies, they would be better off with a lefty bat. So that's what I'm thinking overall for the Phillies. Let's move on here to the Miami Marlins. We got a fun team here. With the Marlins, man, if they can go get themselves, it's a lot to ask for the Marlins because they do like to watch that payroll. And, oh, man, Nick Castellanos would be really nice. I've been saying this for a long time now, even before all the other baseball YouTubers out there were saying it. I'm telling you, man, Nick Castellanos, I would love it. I would love it, man. He would be fantastic. But will they want to spend the money on someone like Castellanos? I'm not quite sure about that. Fangraphs, they're projecting him to get 16. It's actually not. I wonder if he ends up getting that. I could actually see Castellanos making a little bit more than that. What was Castellanos' contract? what was his contract before that? He had a, I feel like he was making around that. He was making in 21. Okay, he made a little less. Okay. Yeah, he was due to be making 16. I could totally see him getting a little bit more than 16 million per season, to be completely honest. I could see him getting maybe like 18. You know, I could see him getting maybe like 75 million, something like that. And again, I don't know, would the Marlins want to do that? Now, with the universal DH, that opens up a lot of possibilities. Someone like Nelson Cruz, I think, could be pretty good. As of right now, on your depth chart, you do have Brian Anderson listed at third base. You know, with Brian Anderson, you're not getting a lot of power there. Could you add someone like a Kyle Seager? You know, maybe something like that, or maybe even a Kyle Schwarber. I think Kyle Schwarber could be someone, you know, reports have said the Marlins are still looking at outfielders. I think Kyle Schwarber could be a pretty underrated fit there. I don't know. I don't think you really need to worry about pitching so much. I mean, of course, you could always use some more pitching, but, you know, I really like what they have. I mean, look at these 5 guys. Really solid. Alcantara, you just brought him back on an extension. Trevor Rogers, fantastic. Pablo Lopez. I mean, if he's healthy, awesome. Eliezer Hernandez, I made a video before the 2020 season. I'm saying Eliezer Hernandez, this is one of the most underrated arms in the game. If he's healthy, this is a guy, he reminds me of Pedro Martinez without the velocity. He has stuff like that. His changeup, it's a Looney Tunes changeup. The only problem with Hernandez, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Could you go use Hernandez as some trade bait? You know, to go get yourself a bat? With Hernandez right now on the Marlins, he's really intriguing because he has good stuff. And let me actually show you his Baseball Savant page. It's actually pretty interesting. Again, he doesn't have a lot of velocity, but again, he has stuff. His stuff really plays. He's got a 4-pitch arsenal: fastball, slider, changeup, sinker. If you take a look, his stuff actually has some pretty good movement. The changeup, 1.6 inches of horizontal movement compared to the average in 2021. That was really good. It actually got better from 2020, but the slider still, he's got good numbers on the slider there. Actually, the slider didn't play as well in 21, but it did play in 2020. So, but yeah, his fastball, even though it's not a very hard fastball, it has life to it. It has movement to it. So, he doesn't fully remind me of Pedro stuff-wise, but I see some similarities, if that makes sense. I really like his changeup. I'm surprised his numbers weren't as good, but it looks really good. So, I like Eliezer Hernandez. He's only 26 years old. I think the Marlins, they could definitely use him as some bait. His take a look at his value. He's got a 5.2 value. So he is someone who is gettable. So look out for that. But again, the Marlins, you need bats. Add bats any way you can. Oh, I really like the Joey Wendell move. I think that was a really nice veteran move for them. A guy that can play multiple positions. I think really, if you can add maybe another sure thing for the bullpen, that's the one good thing right now is you still got guys out there. You got guys, and I think someone out there. I think you'll see one of the good relievers go to the Marlins. I think they're going to really make a move. So don't forget they also got Dylan Floro last year. He ended up doing really well. So look out for that. But I think a bat. That's where I would go. I did like the Jacob Stallings move for them. So if you can add another outfielder, maybe an upgrade at third base, I could see something like that. I could honestly see someone like Kyle Seager maybe. A bit of an upgrade there. Brian Anderson, I believe he can play other positions. He also just underwent surgery back in September. But with Brian Anderson, I thought he could play some outfield. I could have sworn he's played some outfield before. Yeah, he played right field. Yeah, he's played. Yeah, okay, he hasn't played too much. Mostly third. But yeah, I don't know. I think someone like Kyle Seager could be pretty nice for the Marlins. So let's move on here. Who is the next team? Let's go to the Nationals. here we go. The Nationals. Obviously, you got someone like Juan Soto. Not too bad if you ask me. I think for the Nationals, I think honestly, I think you just gotta pay attention to just adding some more farm system. I don't think you're really doing too much this year. So I think right now, if you can maybe find ways to keep improving that farm system, you're 23rd overall right now. So you made a couple of good steps, adding someone like Kyber Ruiz, Josiah Gray at the deadline for Scherzer and Turner. I thought that was really nice. But I think for the Nationals right now, I don't think you got to go crazy. I think if you could maybe go if you're to add any free agents, maybe you could go add some guys that are low cost. Some guys that could maybe, that could be trade bait at the deadline. I wonder if maybe they would bring in someone like a Conforto. I could maybe see something like that. Let me actually go back here. If you take a look here, you have someone like Yadier Hernandez right now. I wonder if maybe you could put some. I could see the Nationals being like a sneaky team for a Michael Conforto, because your lineup is actually still pretty good. They added Cesar Hernandez, so I think Conforto could be a dark horse, or the Nationals could be a dark horse for Conforto. So Carter Kieboom, I want this guy to succeed. I do. I think they're going to give him every chance next year. I really do. I think they're going to give him that first half. And if he's still not doing anything, I think at that point, you got to pull the plug. I'm not sure, but could they maybe make an upgrade? Sure. I don't think you need to. If you do have the DH, could you bring Schwarber back? He has a good relationship with the organization still. So ultimately, I think where the Nationals need to, I wonder if, I don't know if they do it. I don't think they end up doing it. But then I find it interesting that the Nationals, you brought in Cesar Hernandez. It's not like a big time move, but it's a guy that you could put in your lineup, and it's still not a bad looking lineup. So I wonder if they really do go after someone. I think they're a bit of a dark horse team. I know you want to save money right now to try and get Soto signed up to an extension, which I do think they will end up doing. But could you bring in someone like Chris Bryant? Could you bring in someone like Carlos Rodon? Maybe even Nick Castellanos. Could you do something like that? I'm not going to completely turn away from the Nationals. I think they could surprise some people. I think they're a bit of a dark horse team out there. You're not really hearing too much about. We'll have to wait and see what the Nationals end up doing. But I think that's right now. I think they need a little bit of everything. Maybe another bat, another starter. I think they could definitely use another starter. The bullpen guy. Everyone could use bullpen guys, but the Nationals, they did not have a very good bullpen last year. So let's move on here. What team have I not talked about with the National League East? Atlanta. Oh, the World Series champions. How could I forget about them? Atlanta. Here we go, Atlanta. Well, the big thing right now is Freddie Freeman. What's going on with Freddie Freeman? I think that's your number one priority right now. But I think with Freddie Freeman, I wonder if Freddie Freeman, he's 32 years old. Supposedly he's looking for around 6 years, 180. I wonder if that's a little out of their price range. He's 32 years old. The Braves tend not to go out there and go spend big on free agency. You got Marcelo Zuna, last out. You brought him back, but look what happened there. I'm not saying that's not going to happen with Freddie Freeman, but I'm just saying I wonder if that might be a little too pricey for the Atlanta Braves. I wonder, because you don't usually see them going out and spending big money like that. Is that the good story? Yes, bringing Freddie Freeman back on an 8-year deal. Something like that, or 6-7 years, something like that, having finished his career in Atlanta. Yeah, like that is the storybook result that you want here. Do the Braves see it like that? Do they see that as a good investment? I think with Freddie Freeman, I think if you bring him back 6 years, 7 years, I think you're definitely going to still get a few good seasons out of him. But I think they're more worried about what's going to happen, in the last couple of years of his contract. We've seen this many times where guys that are around this age, they get those big contracts. Look at what the St. Louis Cardinals, they let Albert Pujols go, and look what ended up happening. I'm just saying. So I think with the St. Louis Cardinals, them not bringing back Pujols, that makes me wonder, would the Braves do the same thing? I think you could see Freddie Freeman go. I really do. The more I think about it, the fact that they haven't gotten it done. I know DJ LeMahieu took a little time to go back to the Yankees last offseason. I think he re-signed in January. I can't fully remember when he did, but I would not be surprised if Freeman doesn't go back to the Braves, because it's not just the Cardinals comparison with Pujols. It's also the Braves. You don't ever see them going out and spending money spending that kind of money. I mean, looking at their payroll right now, if there's anyone you do pay that money, it's him. But your highest guy right now is Charlie Morton at $20 million. I'm thinking here, who have they brought in before? What big free agents? I can't even remember. They've always been good about developing guys and bringing guys in on cheaper deals. Like Ozuna, that was $18 million, but 16 for 2022, and then it goes up to 18, and then it goes back down to 16 in 2025. But I wonder, that's a kind of a price range I see the Braves. That's the price range I see the Braves doing usually. Acuna, you got the best bargain in all of baseball right now. Like, holy cow. He's going to be 30, how old? 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. You're going to get all the prime years of Ronald Acuna Jr. You're going to be paying him $17 million in 2028. That might be one of the best. In 2028, when we get there, oh my goodness, that might be the best bargain in all of sports. So I wonder, man, I could totally see a team like the Dodgers pulling away Freddie Freeman. I could see it. Or a team like the Yankees. The one thing with the Yankees, that is another thing I forgot to mention with the Yankees. I'm sorry, I completely forgot to mention that at first base. You have Luke Voit currently for first base. They've been connected with Matt Olson. Could the Yankees swoop in if you are going to spend some money? Could Freddie Freeman be the guy that you spend the money on? I think they would rather have a Matt Olson who is a little cheaper. I think at this point, no offense to Freddie Freeman. He's an awesome player. I love Freddie Freeman. But when you're looking at the age, I think teams might prefer Matt Olson. It's kind of almost like a pick your poison. Do you want to give up the good prospects for Matt Olson, or do you want to spend the money? The advantage with Matt Olson is that he's a little younger and he's going to be cheaper. So you're only going to have him for a couple of years because he's going to be a free agent. But I think teams might prefer the Matt Olson route because you're not locked into a big contract. So I think it's kind of a pick your poison at that point. I think the Yankees or Dodgers definitely could end up getting Freeman. Of course, he could end up going back to the Braves too, because at the end of the day, when you look at bringing these guys in, yes, obviously you're caring about the person, of course. Like, he is, to me, should be an Atlanta Brave for life. But I think at the end of the day, I think the Braves, they look at Chris Heward. Thank you for subscribing, my friend. Will they see, if you're going to be paying him $25, $30 million a year, especially when you're considering inflation year to year, the Braves, I think they're looking at it like, all right, is this going to be a good investment to bring? Because that's, I think, how teams are looking at this now. I don't think teams are just throwing money at guys anymore. They're looking at it from all aspects. What's he going to bring in jersey sale wise? Is he going to, obviously he's going to be a franchise player for you. The ticket sales should always be good for the Atlanta Braves. Freddie Freeman is that guy. So I think they're looking at it from all angles. Now, I think they have a set value on him, and I wonder if they do it. So I've talked about Freddie Freeman enough. Let's take a look at other aspects of the Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves right now, they could also use an outfielder. So you do have Christian Pache penciled in for center field. Hasn't really found himself yet. The one thing with Christian Pache, great glove, he just hasn't done it with the bat. He's only 23 years old. I think give this guy a bit of a chance. At this point, I don't know. I wonder if he could be trade bait. He definitely has good value, but I don't know if teams they're seeing what he's done so far. Even in the minor leagues, he didn't have a great season. But you could go either way with Pache. You can keep him there, or would you want to have a bit of an upgrade? So either way, you are getting a great glove. What I think the Braves end up doing, I think they just give him all the chances in the world to really just get himself going. I think you end up seeing them do that. The rotation as of right now, I love me some Max Fried. I do. I know. Who am I thinking? Oh, I'm thinking of the player rankings that Mark did, Draftnik Mark. I don't remember where he had Fried. I feel like he should have been a little higher. I like Max Fried. I do. I don't remember where Mark had Fried ranked. I thought it was a little low, personally. Here's the one thing about pictures. And then there's like this one guy on Twitter. I forget who is this guy on Twitter. His name is like MLB Nerds. Has anyone else seen these rankings from MLB Nerds on Twitter? Some of them are just god awful. I don't know. I appreciate all the work but like, good grief, some of them were bad. He had Max Fried pretty low. I don't remember where, but and that's not even coming from like a biased point of view. I'm just like looking at these numbers and I'm like, huh? Like, where, like this, you have this guy. I'd have to go look at him again. They were just, yeah, I don't even know, man. And that's not even saying it from a point of view where the one that I took notice of was Nathan Eovaldi. He had Nathan Eovaldi, I think, out of the top 20. I don't remember where he had him. But and I started posting all these numbers for him, not just the ERA and the FIP and stuff like that. I was showing him like pitch values and stuff, and he's just like, that's just what I think. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like, no. Nice graphics. I did like how they looked, but I don't know. But Max Fried, one thing I want to point out with pictures. Listen, it's not about. I need everyone to know this, and I'm sure a lot of you already do know this. My opinion, personally, with pictures, this is where MLB Nerd said this. He said this. He said Adam Wainwright, he said he has 80 pictures I heard him talking with Mark, and he said he had 80 pictures ahead of Adam Wainwright. All right, I'd love to know the 80 pictures, because when I'm looking at the numbers from the last 3 years and even the numbers from last year, Adam Wainwright ranks really well in Fangraphs WAR over the last 3 seasons. He's not like, I don't think Adam Wainwright's a top 30 guy. I don't think he's a top 40. But I think there's an argument. I don't think there's 80 guys that are better than Adam Wainwright. Like 80? Like, I don't know. That's just like a delusional statement if you ask me. But here's the one thing with pitchers that is extremely underrated. It's not about the velocity all the time. It's not about the movement on the pitches all the time. It's not about how much extension a pitcher is getting. A lot of times it's about, can a pitcher paint the corners? Can he locate? Can he move around the zone? That's a very underrated aspect. We've gotten so head over heels about velocity and, movement and like, just all of it. But like the underrated thing is that these guys, like Adam Wainwright showed last year, you didn't need velocity. You didn't need, just like tons of movement on your slider or curveball. A lot of times working around the zone and locating your pitches, changing up the eye levels of the pitchers or of the batters, throwing them off, with location and whatnot. That's an underrated aspect, and that needs to be remembered, because Adam Wainwright really showed that last year. I remember Curt Schilling showed that in 2007. Curt Schilling was not the pitcher that he was. In 2007, Curt Schilling, he's pitching in the World Series, helping the Red Sox win another World Series. It's not about velocity and stuff all the time. Pitching is an art. And that needs to, I love the analytics, I love the numbers, but we got to cut it out with some of this stuff like I'm sorry, 80 pitchers are better than Adam Wainwright. Like, come on, my friend. Like, get out of here. I don't know. Whatever. That's enough of my rant. But here we go. Max Fried, I think he's really solid. Obviously, he came up big in the World Series. The guy, he really came up big. Charlie Morton, hopefully he comes back fully healthy. I think that's going to be huge for them. Hopefully he's going to be all healed up from that fracture. Ian Anderson came up big, and Ian Anderson, remember, he's only 23 years old. Huascar Noah, hopefully he's not. What did he do last year? He broke his hand or something like that. Tucker Davidson, could you use an upgrade in the rotation? Sure. What's going to happen with Mike Soroka? Not sure. I would really like for the Braves, if they could, to. They added Kirby Yates. I did like that because that is a low risk kind of a move, but he can end up paying dividends. So that's what I think for the Braves. Maybe something for the outfield. I don't necessarily think you need it. I think the DH is going to be huge because you could have Ozuna as a DH. Ozuna showed as a designated hitter. Holy cow, when he just focused on that dude was awesome. So I think the Braves, honestly, if you have a universal DH, I think the Braves, they end up benefiting the most. So look out for that. But alrighty, that's all I got for both the American League East and the National League East. We got, here we go. I feel like I've been kind of yapping a lot here. Let's move on here. We're going to get to the Central Divisions. So let's go to the AL Central. The AL Central, shall we? The division last year was taken by the Chicago White Sox. And I think the White Sox still have a very good team. I'm wondering this year, are they going to take a step forward this year? What's going on with the Chicago White Sox? We need to see a little more out of the White Sox this year. Tony La Russa, I was wondering if maybe they were going to move on from La Russa after, all of this stuff that was going on with them last year. But here we go. Let me pull up all the teams here. And then here we go. And we got the Cleveland Guardians this year, no longer the Cleveland Indians. So let's start off with those White Sox, shall we? Let's start off here. I still really like this lineup. I think, honestly, you don't need to do anything with it. I think the big key is Andrew Vaughn. I think Andrew Vaughn could end up having just a stupid season next year. I really think this is a guy that can take it to the next level. So be on the lookout for Andrew Vaughn. I don't think you need to do anything with the rotation, or with the lineup, sorry. The rotation, I think it's a matter of, can Dylan Cease take it to another level? Lucas Giolito was a little more underwhelming than I thought last year. So I want Lucas Giolito to take a step. That's what I want for him. Kopech, can you get in the rotation, can this guy give you 150 innings? I think that's going to be key. Keuchel, at this point, I don't know about Keuchel. I'm not really quite sure. Didn't look very good last year. I think the big key for the rotation is Giolito, and then Cease was really good last year. Very good advanced numbers for Cease. Taking a look at his numbers overall. Really like that 3.41 FIP. I mean, look at the strikeouts. If you can get those walks down, I think that would make you even just that much better. But Dylan Cease, that's a guy I'm going to look out for. And then the bullpen, you added Kendall Graveman. Really like that. You brought back Lurie Garcia. I don't think there's really too much to say about the White Sox. I think it's a matter of taking a step forward. I think that's what the White Sox need to do. Have their players just get a little better. Kimbrel, are you going to end up getting rid of him? If you keep him, I think that's solid. Obviously, your bullpen just looks very good on paper with him. He was better with the Cubs last year, not as good with the White Sox. But I think there's not really too much to do with the White Sox right now. Their team is Major League ready. I think it's just a matter of guys taking a step forward. Moving on, let's talk about the Detroit Tigers, huh? We got a fun team coming up. Just did the MLB The Show rebuild on the Detroit Tigers, so go check that out if you haven't already. I still am holding out hope. I know a lot of you have heard me say this like a million times. I'm still holding out hope for Carlos Correa. I still think that would be a great option. Javier Baez at second base. I think that would be great. I still think you could add Correa. So right now, I'm not really seeing too much with the lineup. Torkelson, get this guy in the give this guy first base now. Just give him first base. Have him on the job training in the major leagues. That's how he's going to get better, I think, at this point. I don't think there's really any sure, could you have him in the minor leagues for a little bit to start the season? Absolutely. But Torkelson, get this guy to the major leagues. Eduardo Rodriguez, nice addition for the rotation. I think it's just a matter of let Mize. Oh shoot, I can't ever remember how to pronounce. Is it Skubal? Skubal, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. Manning, I'm intrigued about Manning because he had some pretty bad numbers last year in his first year. So, and he was a 9th overall pick in the first round back in 2016. So, I think these 3 guys. Let's get these 3 guys on another level. And then Tyler Alexander in the back. He did pretty good last year. 3.81 ERA. How is his FIP? How is that FIP? Higher, but not too much higher. I'd like him to pump up the strikeouts a little bit more if he can. But the bullpen, I think a veteran guy for the bullpen. I think someone like an Andrew Chafin would be really nice. Just a veteran guy. Even someone like Ryan Tepera, I think. Just a veteran guy because you got a lot of potential in this bullpen right now. So that's what I think for the Tigers. I think right now you made your moves already. I don't think you need to do too much. Maybe just a bullpen guy. Moving on, the Kansas City Royals. It's kind of one of those teams, bit of a, I don't know. What are they? Like they got a fun team. I like looking at their lineup. I think it's a fun lineup to look at. I mean, I love Nicky Lopez. Thank God Nicky Lopez is getting all the love. Because goodness gracious, I was, during the power rankings, I was saying, all those power rankings a while back, I'm thinking, is anyone seeing Nicky Lopez lately? He's been great. And then, finally, he's getting the love that he deserves. He's not going to give you power by any means, but he's going to give you good average, good on base, stolen bases. Salvador Perez, 48 home runs last year, I like this. I think Bobby Witt Jr., this is the focus right now. Maybe a DH, maybe someone like Nelson Cruz could be pretty fun. That's what I'm thinking. But Bobby Witt Jr., I think that's the guy. That's the guy you really got to get up there. Good season in the minor leagues. I'm surprised he didn't play last year. But I think with Bobby Witt Jr., there's no rush. You don't need to rush him. So I think you'll end up seeing him this year. I might even go as far as giving him Rookie of the Year. I think he could be that good. I wonder with this rotation, I wonder if maybe you could trade someone in this rotation. I wonder if Mike Minor would be a guy that, if a team's looking for some pitching. Maybe like the Mets. Could you see as someone like Mike Minor for the Mets? Didn't have great numbers, but he gave you innings. I think that's what the Mets need. He's a veteran guy. His FIP was a lot better in 2021 than his ERA, 4.29. I think Mike Minor could be a kind of a dark horse trade option a little bit because I believe he's a free agent after this year. So I think it's you got Keller, Singer, Bubic. Kind of like the Tigers, you need these 3 guys to take a step forward. Bullpen actually looks really good. I think that's right now. I think, focus on Bobby Witt Jr. Maybe you could make a trade for Mike Minor. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Moving on. Let's talk about the Minnesota Twins. What an interesting team. You brought in Dylan Bundy for the rotation, but that's not enough. You need more. You got to get more for this rotation. I still think this Twins team can surprise some people next year. I think the lineup, Buxton, God, find a way to stay healthy, my friend. I don't mind this lineup. I wonder if maybe you can make an upgrade over Kepler. Low batting average, low on base last year. Gave you a little bit of power. Garver, he was kind of off last year. Had the 358 on base, though. I think the Twins, their offense was very good last year. I feel like maybe you could use an upgrade somewhere. But I think the big thing here is the rotation. Bundy, that's not the guy. I like Ober and Ryan. Dobnak needs to bounce back here. But I think if you could add someone, and again, you got the Oakland A's, you got the Cincinnati Reds. Could you go out and get someone like a Luis Castillo? Could you go out and get someone like Sonny Gray? Sonny Gray is going to be easier to get, but I think Sonny Gray would be nice for this Twins rotation, or someone like Chris Bassett. I think Castillo would be huge for the Minnesota Twins. If you can get him, that could be the replacement for Jose Barrios, So I think that's what they need to do. Maybe a guy for the bullpen. Sure. That's what I'm thinking. They need to focus on pitching. You're not going to have Maeda. So, yeah. Pitching for the Minnesota Twins. That's their biggest need. Let's talk about those Cleveland Guardians, huh? The Cleveland Guardians. I think the big thing right now, when I'm looking at this lineup, I'm looking at Bobby Bradley. You know, I wonder if someone like Kyle Schwarber could be a low, like a bit of a, they're a dark horse team maybe. Could you maybe see them spend a little bit of money? Listen, you're in the first year of a new name. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, Cleveland Guardians, I'm just saying, you got a new name. And I'm thinking of the Tampa Bay Rays back in 2008, you know, the Devil Rays becoming the Rays. You know, new name, you gotta put a good product on the field, man. Do you want your first year with the name change to be a dud? No, I think you want to get started off on the right foot. I think you want to get the fans energized. I'm wondering, you know, Kyle Schwarber is a guy from Ohio. I think Kyle Schwarber could be a pretty nice option. Look out for someone like Steve Kwan. They actually have some pretty good projections for him on Fangraphs. Look at his projections for 2022. They're giving him a 281 average, a 341 on base, a 114 WRC plus. Look out for Steven Kwan. In the minor leagues last year, hit really well. He had overall in AA and AAA. In AA, he hit 337 with a 411 on base. And then in AAA, he had a 311 average with a 398 on base. Look at the slugging, too. I mean, look out for Steven Kwan, man. He could end up being a kind of a, you know, an interesting guy. That could be a under the radar rookie of the year pick. So according to these projections, I mean, look how well he hit in the minor leagues. So looking out for Steven Kwan, man. But I think you could add someone like Schwarber, maybe. You know, Steven Kwan, I mean, as of right now, they do have him penciled in for left field. But Schwarber, you know, he could play a little first. You know, the one thing with the Indians, oh my goodness, I just said the Indians. The one thing with the Guardians is your DH spot right now is filled. And you got a good bat there, so you don't really have the flexibility. So if Schwarber did come in, you could put him over Bradley maybe at first base. But I'm looking out for, and then you obviously got Jose Ramirez still, but I'm looking out for maybe the Guardians to make some kind of a move. Maybe Conforto. So I do like Steven Kwan. Bradley Zimmer, if there was an upgrade to be made, the reason Schwarber wouldn't play right. So, I mean, I don't know if Kwan can play him right. Could Kwan move to right? I don't know. I'd have to go see. But if he can play right field and you can get Kyle Schwarber for left, oh, that'd be amazing. Oh my God. That'd be, what a lineup. That'd be a pretty good lineup overall. Schwarber, Ramirez, and Reyes in the middle of it. Conforto could be an option. The rotation, I think it's an under the radar rotation. I think Bieber, you know, he missed some time last year, but I think this is a starting rotation that it's being slept on a little bit. You know, Bieber 2020, he was an absolute sensation, but you come back in 2022 here, you know, you get a full season out of him. You know, maybe this is a dark horse Cy Young pick. Quantrill was really good last year. Plesac, I would like to see better numbers. Savali was pretty good. McKenzie, I really want to see this guy just take it to the next level. Bullpen's good. One of the better bullpens last year. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's what I'm thinking with the Indians. If you can get yourself an outfielder, look for another bat there in that outfield. I think that could be pretty good. Alrighty. Have I talked about all the teams in? I think I've missed a team. I think I talked about every team in the AL Central. I talked about Kansas City, Cleveland, the White Sox, the Twins, and the Tigers. Okay, good. We're done with the American League Central. Let's move over to the National League Central. Let's take a look here. For the National League Central, you got teams like the Cubs, who are all of a sudden maybe a bit of a contender here. They're looking out for someone like Carlos Correa. The Cardinals, hey, they added Steven Matz. You know, the Pirates, up-and-coming team. The Brewers made the trade for Hunter Renfroe. Cincinnati Reds, what the heck are they even doing? But right now, you know, you got some teams here that definitely could make some moves. I think still, even after this lockout, especially the Cubs. Let's start off with them. the Chicago Cubs, they've been the hot team lately when it comes to Carlos Carrasco. Let's start off hot. Let's talk about that. Now, he would fit. In the beginning of the offseason, I was seeing a lot of people say Carlos Correa, Cubs, and the reason I disagreed with it was not because of the fit, but just because of where the Cubs were at timeline-wise. I didn't know if they really wanted to, go for someone like that, because they also did have, some infielders in the farm system. So I don't know if that was really something they were looking at, but according to the reports, they really want Carlos Correa. You could move Nico Horner to the outfield. So I think if you can add a bat here, if it's Correa, I think that'd be great. But could you bring back Schwarber? Maybe. I mean, I don't think that would be a bad idea. I mean, maybe bring Schwarber back to Chicago. I think Correa, to me, that's a great fit. Maybe Trevor Story? Could you bring in Story on I wonder what kind of a contract Story gets. I think go either way. I think Story could end up getting a 6-year deal, or he could take a 1-year deal. I think it's very interesting with Story. But either way, I think you could add a shortstop, Horner. He could end up moving to the outfield. And that was another reason, too, with Correa. I figured, I'm like, well, you got Nico Horner. You probably, just go with him. But the fact that he has that versatility, he can move. So either way, I think the Cubs could use a bat. But most importantly, I think they need innings. I think they really need innings. Stroman was a nice start. Kendricks as your number 2, I think is good. But to me, if you can get, I know it's not guaranteed innings by any means, but if you can go get Carlos Rodon, I think that'd be great. I know that might be a bit of a stretch because of, the shoulder issues and whatnot. I think you'd be a really good fit with the Cubs. I would really like that. Go to the other side of Chicago. I would love Carlos Rodon on the Cubs. I think that'd be really great. But again, it's a bit of a risk considering the shoulder. That's another guy I wonder, what kind of a contract is he going to get? Is he going to get a long-term deal? They have him projected at 4 years, $76 million. I wonder if he goes that Marcus Semien route, takes that 1-year deal. So I could see Rodon doing that. Boris, of course, they said they were looking for a multi-year deal. Well, of course you got to go out and say that, because obviously that's his agent. He's got to say stuff like that. But I don't know. I wonder how far teams are willing to go with Rodon. I think it's kind of he's a guy where I think teams are going to say, hey, we'll give you a 1-year deal. We'll give you maybe a club option, but you got to prove that you're healthy, my friend. But if he ends up being healthy, that could be really good, and that could be maybe a decent risk for the Chicago Cubs. I think the bullpen actually looks okay. Again, teams could always use another bullpen arm. I think they could use a guy. So you got some decent arms here. You got some young arms here. If they could take a step forward, I think that could end up being a really good bullpen. But one guy I really want to keep an eye out for, where we got here, is Braylon Marquez. I think he was hurt pretty much all of last year. I don't think he even pitched last year. Braylon Marquez. So Steamers only has him projected for 1 inning. Great. But the last time we saw him was in the major leagues. I mean, we saw him in 1 game. That was it. So had a couple of strikeouts, I believe, in that short time that he pitched. How many? Yeah, it was not even a full inning. But he's had great numbers in the minor leagues. The only issue is he going to be healthy? I think that's one guy, if he can get himself right, man. And then someone like Corey Abbott as well. Corey Abbott actually did pitch a little bit for the Cubs this year. But this is a guy in the minor leagues. He's shown some pretty good numbers. Last year in 2021, not great. But you have to remember with these guys, I'm not looking too much at, if they had a bad season in the minor leagues this year, I'm not too worried about it, because you got to remember, they didn't have that 2020 season at all. That's the one part of 2020 that I hated the most, or one of the things that I hated the most, was that these minor league guys, they didn't have that season, and that stunk, man. But Corey Abbott, because he had good numbers here, and then, they pretty much are just trying to get him back on track here. So these are some guys I think to keep a lookout for. So keep an eye out for those guys. I think the Cubs, I think it's interesting the way they're approaching things right now, because you still have a pretty good team. So Chicago, I'm pretty excited about the possibilities, just due to the fact that they're maybe moving along quicker than we thought. Let's go to Cincinnati, huh? Who knows what kind of a pace they're moving at? We don't even know what the heck they're doing. I do like their players, Jonathan India, Winker. I do like that. Votto actually having a bit of a renaissance kind of a year last year. Suarez, though, hit under 200. I don't care about these guys that, 31 home runs, sure, but low average, low on base. I don't know, man. I don't like that. But I think Naquin, I don't know. That's the thing with the Reds is that they're not doing anything. They're getting rid of guys. You're waiving Wade Miley. I think the big thing is look out. Are they going to trade Castillo or Gray? Amir Garrett, he had a bad season last year. Could this be a guy where maybe they send him off somewhere and, maybe you could partner him with someone like Sonny Gray and Amir Garrett, maybe put them together in a trade. Maybe you can get something like that. But yeah, the Reds, I don't know. It's just an interesting team. Could you make a deal happen where you maybe put Castillo and Moustakas together? Where Moustakas, that's not a great contract, so that would maybe reduce the price of getting Luis Castillo, so maybe that could make some sense. But there is some talent here for the Cincinnati Reds, but I don't think they're going to make any big moves. So, again, the big ones are Castillo, Gray. I think they're going to try and get out of some of these contracts. So, I guess if you want to clear payroll, that's the big thing. But I think if you could be creative with some of these moves, put Moustakas in a deal to lower the cost for another team, I think that could be a pretty good thing if you can do it. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, we know exactly what the Pirates are doing. They're just retooling right now. Or not retooling, rebuilding. But you got some guys. You're not going to see Brian Reynolds get traded, so let's get that out of your head. This is a good young player. He's still 26. He's going to be 27 should be 27 by the season, right? But you got fun players here. O'Neal Cruz looked pretty good in those 9 plate appearances, had the home run. Ke'Bryan Hayes, not bad for a rookie season. Hit 257, 316 average. So I think this is a guy, a lot of people picked him for Rookie of the Year last year. I think this is a guy where you could see him, 280, maybe 20 homers, maybe around a mid-3 on base. I think you could see something like that. So, but I wonder, you got a guy like David Bednar here, 27 years old. I believe he has a few years of control. He's not a free agent until 2027. You could probably get something for him, honestly. I don't know if they want to hang on to him long term, but I wonder if that's a guy you can end up seeing get traded. But for the Pirates, just stay on course. Stick with the rebuild. If you can get some more prospects, if you can, go for it. Let's move on here. Talking about who is next here. The Milwaukee Brewers. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. Making that trade with my Red Sox. I think Hunter Renfroe, I think the Red Sox, they just sold high on him. They saw a chance to get some prospects. That's what Chaim Bloom wants to do. He wants to improve the Major League team. He improved the Major League team by improving the defense. And they got prospects out of it too. And hey, there are right-handed bats out there. So that's what Chaim Bloom's going to do. He's going to add guys that can be on the Major League team, but if you could solidify, he's going to take every chance he can to solidify that farm system even more, because that's what the Red Sox need to do. But for the Brewers, I think it's a nice bat. Hunter Renfroe, he's not going to cost you a lot of money. He's going to give you some power. He's basically replacing Aviseo Garcia. I think the big thing for the Brewers this offseason, I think the big thing, Christian Yelich. Get this guy, whatever the heck you got to do to get this guy fully healthy, back on track. You need more power out of this guy. I'm sorry, the 373 slugging, it makes me sad. When I see Christian Yelich with a 373 slugging, I'm just sad. And I just want to cry myself to sleep. It's not fun to look at. That's not the slugging percentage that I want to see with Christian Yelich. That's the big thing. I don't know who the heck you got to get out there to his house, hitting coach, all the hitting coaches, in the batting cages every single day. You got to get that solid contact back again with Christian Yelich. Love the on base, but you got to get that power back up. With the lineup, sure, I think you definitely could. I mean, Lorenzo Cain, I think that's okay because I like the defense, gives you a little speed. But I think right now the lineup
maybe a first grade up, or a first grade. Oh my God, what the heck am I? It's bedtime, everyone. Maybe a first base upgrade with Rowdy Tellez, So I like the rotation. I think it's fine. You got some young pitchers down there. Don't forget about Ethan Small. That's a guy as well. Bullpen, back end looks great. Got some guys down here, some younger options as well. Aaron Ashby, what's he going to end up doing this year? So I think the Brewers, I think they're actually looking all right. I think if you maybe make a couple of small tweaks, maybe an upgrade at first, but I don't see them doing that. But I think the Brewers, I think they're going to be still very good, but they need that offense to really come through for them. If they make it back to the postseason, that offense was pretty bad. So let's end it with the St. Louis Cardinals before we move on to the West divisions. The Cardinals, I actually really like this Cardinals team. I love it. I love the bats. I love the defense. A lot of people have been saying, go after Trevor Story, get that Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, left side of the infield back together. I don't think you need to. I think you end up seeing a pretty good season out of Paul DeJong. Edmundo Sosa, that's a guy you can have there for now. He had a good on base last year, 346. The slugging a little low, but I think that's, I think you can hold the fort at shortstop right now. I don't think you need to make a move. Would it be fun, to bring in a Trevor Story on like a 1-year deal? Sure. But then what do you do with DeJong? What do you do with Sosa? I have to wait and see. But right now, I think, according to the reports, the Cardinals, they're looking to upgrade the bullpen. And I think that's pretty much what they need to do. I think just get another guy. I talked about this on the Christmas Eve stream. I think Ryan Tepera, perfect fit. Just pictured the Cubs. He's pitching in that division. I think Ryan Tepera makes a lot of sense for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's what I'm thinking for the St. Louis Cardinals. Because the bullpen arm, could maybe you do something at short? Sure. I think Dylan Carlson, I think you're going to see a banger of a season for him next year. He's only going to get better. He's only 23 years old. I'm looking for big things from Dylan Carlson. I like this team. I really do like the St. Louis Cardinals. Wainwright, is he going to have the same year? I know I was just kind of raving about Wainwright earlier, but I'm not going to count on the same kind of a year. I think it was a bit of a very good year for Adam Wainwright. He had something going on last year. Can he duplicate it? Is he going to have these same kind of numbers? Is that ERA maybe going to be near the 4s? I still think he can give you some innings, but again, he's 40 years old. Is he going to be able to give you the 200 innings again? I don't know. So Jack Flaherty, I think, is a big key. That's the big key for them. I think if Flaherty can take the role, really grasp that ace role, I think then you got something. But Jack Flaherty, he needs to take that step next year. Cardinals, don't think you need to do much. I think you just need to add maybe a bullpen arm, just, buffer that team a little bit. And I think the Cardinals are going to be a really good team next year. Moving on to the West divisions. We're at our last two divisions here. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, but here we go here. Let's start off here. Let's go back to the American League, the American League West. I think the American League, the West division out here, it's interesting. This is the more interesting division to me because the Astros are still really good. Even without Carlos Correa, I think the Astros are still good. Oakland, believe it or not, sure, what's going to happen with the guys that they have? They're probably going to get traded, but, Oakland, I wonder if they could end up being maybe kind of decent depending on what they get back. Depends on what they get back. If they are going to trade everyone for prospects, I wouldn't count on Oakland. But the Angels, they made some good moves, I think, this offseason so far. Don't forget, the Angels had a good offseason last year, and they ended up not doing anything. But this year is a little different. They got some pitching. Added Syndergaard, added Loop. The Mariners and the Rangers, I think these are the most fun teams out of this division because the Mariners, they're up and coming, got young players. They had a fun September last year. And the Rangers, obviously, adding Seager and Semien. So let's start off here. Where are we going to start? Let's start off with those Astros. I know everyone loves the Astros, right? Taking a look at the Astros. Again, I don't think if you miss out on bringing Carlos Correa back, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I'm intrigued about Jeremy Pena. I think he can end up being pretty good. He's got a good glove. Had a pretty decent year with the bat last year in the minor leagues. taking a look at what he did. He hit 287 in AAA last year, 346 on base, a 598 slugging. Pretty solid year overall, and he's great with the glove. So they're actually projecting him next year for a 4.9 defense. So I could see these kind of numbers, but I think overall, if you can keep up the defense, I think you're still going to be fine. If you're strong up the middle defensively, catcher, shortstop, second base, center field, if you got good defense there, I think you're okay. Because I think there's these bats here, Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Gurriel, Tucker. You still got a great lineup, even without Correa. So I think they're fine. Maybe you could make an upgrade at catcher. Martin Maldonado, good defense, but the bat is just, ugh. The defense is fantastic, though. But when I look at these numbers, I'm looking at a guy who's a backup catcher. The defense, to me, if you can go get yourself a Wilson Contreras, I think that would be fantastic. But would the Cubs want to deal him away? I don't know. They just brought in Yan Gomes. But I think the big key for the Astros next year, Justin Verlander. 30 starts, 200 innings, win the West. There's your game one starter. I think they really lacked that in the World Series. It really showed the Braves just had the better rotation. And they just outlasted that starting pitching with the Astros. I thought they were really in trouble in that championship series. They did. I think, honestly, that was one of the best things, one of the best performances in a series from a team that I've seen in a while, because you have to remember with that Astros team, they were down, what was it? They were down 2-1 in the series. Oh my, they had like no starting pitching left. And the fact that they pulled it off and they made it to the World Series, that still blew my mind. I thought they could do it, but I wasn't giving up on them. But they were in trouble in that ALCS, and they came back and figured it out. But I think Verlander's big. If you can get him back to being Verlander, I think that's huge. Bullpen still looks really good. You did bring in Hector Neris, basically replacing Kendall Graveman. So I think, honestly, for the Astros right now, I think you're okay. I mean, I know you're kind of standing pat a little bit, but I don't think you really need to. I think bringing Verlander back was the move. Bullpen guy. I still think they're in good shape. So I'm not too worried about the Astros right now. Let's move on to the Angels. They've been making some moves. Brought back Raisel Iglesias. You brought in Michael Lorenzen. Don't forget about Aaron Loop. Don't forget about Noah Syndergaard. They brought in Tyler Wade. They brought in some guys. They have made moves. Right now, shortstop, is Tyler Wade the guy? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I still am going to hold out hope that the Angels are a dark horse for Carlos Correa. It sounds like an Angels kind of a move, doesn't it? It sounds like an Angels kind of a move. A position player, big contract. They've done it plenty of times. I wonder if the Angels are a bit of a dark horse. I don't know. We haven't heard much about them. But would they be willing, to go a big contract? I wonder. I don't know. But Angels starting pitching, that is the one area. That's the one area. You did add Lorenzen. You did add Syndergaard. I think if you can go get someone like Carlos Rodon, I think that makes a lot of sense. Looking at the other options, I don't think Kershaw is going to be a guy. I don't see it. I think Kershaw right now, I think he ends up going back to the Dodgers or he goes to the Rangers. I don't see the Angels doing it. I don't think he would do it. So, there is Tyler Anderson. Could you bring him in? I think you end up bringing it. If you're the Angels, I could see them doing something like Pineda, maybe Boyd. I could see something like that. I could see them doing Rodon. But the Angels, to me, are just extremely interesting when it comes to starting pitching. I think they got another starting pitching signing up their sleeves. Bullpen, I love the Loop signing. I thought that was great. Great year for them, for the Mets last year. Too bad the Mets couldn't bring him back. That's why I think the Mets, they could add another bullpen arm. But, yeah, I think the Angels right now, go get yourself another starting pitcher. Figure out what you're doing with shortstop. I wonder, I said it like 4 times already. Could Carlos Correa be an option for the Angels? Have to keep an eye out for it. Moving on, let's go to Oakland. Where are they even going to be in a few years? Are they going to be in Las Vegas? Are they going to be in Oakland? Well, I don't even know. So they are moving along with the talks. They've brought in the environmental, the environmental talks and whatnot. They proposed the city of, how does it work? I think Oakland, they presented the report for the environmental factors for the ballpark, like traffic and whatnot, all that stuff that goes into it. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be staying in Oakland. They've already put down, I think they put down some kind of an offer for Las Vegas. I wonder if that's where they end up going. I don't know. But with the A's right now, I mean, we're beating it to a dead horse at this point. Olsen, Chapman, those are the guys where, those are the trade pieces right there. Bassett, Manaea, Montaz, those are the guys. I think Oakland right now, I think they're just ready to go into a bit of a rebuild mode. There has been talks about Sean Murphy. He's 27 years old, but he has a lot of control. So I think that could end up, I don't think they get rid of him. But I also wonder if Elvis Andrus, they could partner him with someone, to bring down a value, to bring back to bring down the value that a team has to send back. If you could put him with someone, like if you put Andrus with someone like Frankie Montaz, that would definitely lower, what you would have to send back. I could see the Rays doing something like that. I don't know where you would put Andrus if you're the Rays, but, or maybe even the Mets, if the Mets, if you put Andrus with maybe like Sean Manaea, I don't know where you would put Andrus at that point. I think he would just be another infielder on the bench. I don't know I don't know. I think Andrus, he's getting a lot of money. So, and I think Oakland would love to get out of that contract if they can. Put him with a Frankie Montaz, and I think teams might maybe be intrigued with that. So, I think it's interesting with Oakland right now. They got all the trade pieces, so that's what I'm thinking. Let's go to Texas. They've made a couple of huge moves with Seager and Semien. I think that's obviously amazing. That lineup got so much better. And I also like the addition of Cole Calhoun, solid outfielder. Nate Lowe, I actually think this is a guy, if you were to make a trade, if you're the Rangers, you could send Nate Lowe back to the A's, if you want to get Olsen. I think that would be an awesome middle of the order with Olsen, Seager, and Semien. I think that would be fantastic. But I like their lineup the way it's looking right now. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, I don't know. He's 26 years old. Average is whatever. On base is whatever. Slugging is low. Good defense. I wonder if he could be a trade piece. I wonder, could you see a team take him? Like maybe, I don't know. I wonder, because at third base right now, I don't know. To me, he's not really like a prototypical looking third baseman. I mean, these are not what third base numbers look like. So, but the one thing, to keep an eye out for is you have Josh Jung. So I wonder if they ship out Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and then you got Josh Jung waiting in the wings. Who would take him? I don't know, though. I don't know. Ben Myers, I see it. I see you. Who would be interested? I don't know. Who could use some defense at short? Well, let's take a look at shortstop. I mean, right now, the teams that could use a shortstop, I don't know. Would the Yankees be interested in him? That could improve the defense. Probably wouldn't cost too much. I don't know. I wonder if the Yankees maybe would bring him in. He's not really going to be an offensive upgrade, but he would improve your defense. So, I don't know. That could be a low-cost option for you if you're the Yankees. Where are we looking at here? Oh, here we go, Rangers. So, I think Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, that's a guy to look out for, maybe in a trade. I really do think, though, if you're the Rangers right now, oh, man. Go get yourself another pitcher, please. Please go get yourself a pitcher. John Gray was nice, but I don't think he's your number one. Dane Dunning is not your number one or number two. I look at Dane Dunning as like a number 3 or 4. Spencer Howard, I'm intrigued about him. I would like to see what he can do. But, man, go get Clayton Kershaw. Just do it. Just do it. Go get him. Please go get him. I would love to see Kershaw on the Rangers. Go make a trade for Sonny Gray. You know, you got Sonny Gray, the Vanderbilt guy, and if Jack Leiter can come up, you got the 2 Vanderbilt guys in the rotation. I've talked about this before. I mean, I wonder, man. I wonder if that's something that you could do. I don't think the Reds with Isaiah Kiner Falefa, I don't know where you would put him. You know? Where could you put him? Well, actually, could the Reds use a shortstop? Who do they have at shortstop right now? You got Suarez. Oh, yeah, but they have Jose Barrero. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen because you have a young shortstop there. I thought for a second maybe Falefa could be with the Reds, but nah. I think Barrero is going to be the guy. So, I don't know. Could you maybe work something out? Send back Falefa. Maybe a couple. They got some infield prospects that are, you know, I mean, they're pretty much blocked. You got Justin Foscue, Josh Smith, you know. Who was the other one? Ezekiel Duran. You know, you got some infield prospects here that are pretty much blocked. So I don't know if the Reds would be a good fit because they have infield prospects. So, I mean, I don't. How long is Suarez under that deal? I think Suarez, isn't he under control for like a couple more seasons? Could you bring back? I don't know. You know, let's go. Let's see. Can the Reds and the Rangers be some kind of a could they be trade partners? You know, I'm wondering if could you do something here? I'm trying to brainstorm in my head right now. So let's say the Reds is maybe okay, we might have something. All right, let's do man, I would love for the Reds to get or the Rangers to get Castillo. All right, if you were the Rangers, all right, take back Suarez, and that could be your third baseman. It's a power third base bat that projects better at third base. And then if you're the Rangers, send back. I don't know. I don't know if this is any good. Falefa, and then could you send back Jung? I don't know. Would that make any sense? Could you send back Jung? I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to do it. Let's do... Would you do that, though? Rangers fans, would you do that? Would you do something like that? You know, if you were able to get Castillo, would you take Suarez back, who's under control for a couple of seasons? Let me actually pull up Cincinnati here. How long is he under control for? Let's see. Payroll. Suarez. He's not a free agent until 2025. And he's actually pretty cheap. You know, maybe I like this trade a little bit. I mean, you are getting a lot of infielders here, but Jung could be, you know, third baseman of the future there. I'm just putting something together here. I mean, I'm just saying, if you can go get a Luis Castillo, that's not bad. And maybe like one more guy. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe a pitcher. Maybe White. I don't know. I mean, that's not bad. I don't think that's terrible. It's not the worst trade I've ever seen. But, I don't know. I think Sonny Gray would be easier to get. So let's put Gray there. Take off. Let's keep Suarez in there. Maybe not. I don't know. I would love for the Rangers to get someone from the Reds. If that was possible. Let's say, all right. Where are we at? Hold on. Let's do Gray. Let's take off Castillo. Then let's take off Jung. Where am I at right now? Okay, hold on. I'm on the Reds. Take off Jung. not what. I don't know. Maybe you could still do. You could still take back Suarez, maybe, without having to give him back. I don't know. Would you do this? Would you do that? Gray and Suarez for Falefa and White? Would that be all right? Rangers fans, what do you think about that? Gray and a power bat with Suarez in Texas? Send back Falefa and White? I don't know. Doesn't look too bad on paper. I think that'd be all right. I think that would be huge for the Rangers. Sonny Gray's your opening day guy. And then you maybe get Kershaw too. You know, I mean, that's not bad. If you get Kershaw, that's a road. You could have Kershaw for opening day. Sonny Gray's your number 2. Then you got John Gray. No, you got 2 Grays now. Number 3, and then Dane Dunning's your number 4. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I see you in the Wyeth Miller. I see you. Yeah, it doesn't look great for the Reds, but you are taking away some. You're helping them clear some payroll, and you're giving them a major league ready guy in Falefa. So, I don't know. Maybe you could add another prospect in here. Maybe like another infield prospect if you're the Rangers. It doesn't look great for the Reds. I think maybe if you added another prospect here, if you were, let me go here. Let's go to the. Let's just do this. Let's go to the Rangers. Who's a prospect maybe you could send back? So yeah, Owen White, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Owen White is their 14th prospect on Fangraphs. Maybe you could throw in one more of these guys. Maybe like one of those infield prospects. I don't know. They got plenty. Maybe Foscue. And honestly, Foscue at this point is so blocked. I mean, I don't know where you would put him. I don't think the Reds really need infield prospects. If you look at their organization, they got a lot of infield prospects near the top. You got Barrero, who I think is going to be ready. And then they also just, who is the other guy they just got recently? Oh, I'm going blank on his name. Let me see here. It was the middle. Oh, Matt McClain. That's right. So, yeah, Matt McClain. I mean, you got some guys here. Hall of Highlights. Just subscribe. What is going on? How are we doing? So, I don't know. I don't know if the Reds. I mean, you actually got some guys that are actually kind of far away. But you got India there. So, India and Barrero up the middle. And then, yeah, you send back Falefa for third. And then, yeah. And then you got McClain eventually. McClain could also play the outfield. I think I've read that before with McClain. So, I don't know. I think the Reds and the Rangers, they could be good trade partners. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Rangers need pitching. The Reds have pitching. And the Rangers have... They got stuff. They got stuff to send back. I think they could find a way to work something out. And Suarez, I think, would be a nice fit for the Rangers. A nice power bat at the corner. That would be definitely an upgrade over Falefa. So, at least power-wise, I think that's what the Rangers need. So, we'll have to wait and see. But that's enough for the Texas Rangers. Let's talk about here. Let's talk about... I talked about the Astros, Angels, Oakland, Texas, and Seattle for last. Let's talk about Seattle. For Seattle, hey, you got a lot of fun stuff going on here. You just added Robbie Ray for the top of the rotation. I think that was definitely a move you needed to do. I felt like that rotation, it looked weak. You know, I like the guys, but it felt like a bunch of like number 3s. You know, it felt like 3s and 4s in your rotation. So I think adding a Robbie Ray, I don't think Robbie Ray personally, I like him. He had a really good season last year, but I feel like you could add another guy. You know, I think you could still add something. I wonder if Justin Dunn would be better off as a bullpen guy, personally. I think Logan Gilbert, I think you're going to see some big stuff from him next year. I think he takes a step forward. He's going to be really good. And then you got Kirby, and you got Brash down below, so they could come up and make some noise. I think Chris Bryant would be perfect. I personally think that. This is another team. Maybe they could be an option, for someone like Sonny Gray or maybe even Luis Castillo. I think you could definitely see one of those guys. I wonder if Kyle Lewis, man, I wonder if he has value, to team. He definitely has value, but I wonder if teams would want to take him or if the Mariners would want to get rid of him. So if you were to trade Kyle Lewis maybe for some pitching, you could go at a bat like Chris Bryant. I think that Chris Bryant would be huge. I don't think just for the bat. I think also just for the mentality that he would bring along to Seattle. I think he would be just absolutely huge for the Seattle Mariners. Like, I just, when I think of that, man, it sounds good. If I had the option to trade Kyle Lewis for a good pitcher, I would do it. I would. I like Kyle Lewis, but man, I would. I think for the Mariners, I think they have a really good team on the right. Look out for Ken Giles, too. He was hurt last year. I believe he had Tommy John. This bullpen, I think, could be really good again. I like this Mariners team. I think they're going to make some noise. Overall, I think this American League West, there is a lot of fun to be had. I think there is. And don't forget with the Mariners, not just the young pitching. Got Julio Rodriguez. I mean, good grief. I hope we see him next year. I hope we see Julio Rodriguez. So that's where I'm at with that. Let's move on here. Our last division, the National League West. Man, oh man, what a division this was last season. So much hype coming into this division last year with the Dodgers, the Padres. Those two teams were making all the noise. And then all of a sudden, the Giants came out of nowhere and won it. Diamondbacks, one of the worst teams in the league last year. The Rockies, actually, the Rockies did better than what I think a lot of people thought they were going to do. So, but this division, I think it could still be. I still think it could be very fun next year. I think the Rockies and the Diamondbacks, I think they could surprise some people. The Giants, I'm wondering what they're going to end up doing. I think the Dodgers are still going to be really solid. I'm wondering, can the Padres get back on the horse? Can they get it going? Let's start off with the Giants. Let's start off with them because I think they're really interesting. This is a team, they had an amazing season. Set a franchise record for wins. An amazing season. Came down to the last pitch in the division series against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers just edged them out. What a back and forth between those teams. Still think about that sometimes. But the Giants are a team I could see taking a step back. I could definitely see them taking a step back. I wonder if they're like an 85-90 win team. I think they really played above expectations last year. But they were just such a fun team and such a good team. They were really well-oiled. I feel like right now on paper, the lineup to me, it feels like it's missing something. Losing Buster Posey. That's a big loss. Not just for your lineup, but for the defense. Just for the leadership that he brought to that team. The way he managed the pitchers. Buster Posey, one of the best in the game. That's why his retirement was such a big deal. Because he was really good. Chris Bryant they brought in. He's probably not coming back. The lineup is looking a little. I like guys like Crawford, Bell if he's healthy and he's good to go. He's gonna be fun. I think Longoria if he can play a full season. He had a good season last year. 351 on base. Slugging was okay. Yastrzemski, I need to see more out of him. I need to see more batting average and on base. So the slugging was okay. It feels like the lineup is missing something. I think they need a bat. Seiya Suzuki, I think, could be pretty fun. If they have the universal DH, I think someone like Kyle Seager could be fun. So they need a bat. If we were to take a look at the bats right now, let's take a look at the batters. I don't think you're going to see one of these guys. I don't think you're going to see them go. Schwarber, I think, could be interesting. I think that could be pretty fun. Could you see Nelson Cruz if you have a universal DH? I think that could be fun. I wonder if they go with, I think you could use an outfielder if you're the San Francisco Giants. I think left field could be up for grabs. Could you bring in someone like Tommy Pham? You know, he's not going to give you a ton, but he's going to give you some speed. He's going to give you some athleticism. Generally a pretty good on base guy. I could see them adding one of these guys, an outfielder particularly. I would look out for Seiya Suzuki. I think that would be really fun. And when I'm looking at this rotation, I really don't like that Kevin Gausman's not coming back. You know, I'd love to see something added, but at the same time, I like Logan Webb. And that was another thing too, like Draftnik Mark and MLB Nerds on Twitter, they were not very high on Logan Webb. Again, this is one of those things where, good grief, you got to stop looking at the velocity so much. Logan Webb, fantastic. They were really low on Logan Webb. I think Logan Webb could be the next Greg Maddux. I really think that. He's only 25 years old, and this guy was dominating. Just dominating. I mean, if I'm looking up Logan Webb, and I'm not just looking at just the surface numbers, you know, I'm looking at just a lot of the other stuff. He just had just really good stuff, man. Doesn't have a lot of velocity, but good grief, the movement that he had on that sinker, on that changeup. And it's like, I just don't understand why they're just so low on him. And it like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't know, just really weird. They didn't say he was bad, but like, they're not considering him. I don't even think they had him in their top 30. I don't even know, or top 20. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch. But this is a guy, he had 9.5 strikeouts per 9 and 2 walks per 9 and a half a home run per 9. Like, how are you low on that? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I think Logan Webb, I think he's going to end up really being good. I think he could be, again, I think he could be the next Greg Maddux. I really think that. Just his changeup is filthy. His sinker, filthy. That's what I think personally. So maybe not Greg Maddux level, but he reminds me of him. The way he can control a game with the movement of his pitches and his location. Oh, he's so good. I love Logan Webb. But I feel like they could use a guy. They brought in Alex Cobb, but that's where I think they went cheap. They went cheap to replace Kevin Gausman, and I wonder if that ends up coming back to bite them a little bit. The bullpen, you got some young guys, Duvall. I'm very excited to see what he can do. I think the bullpen could end up being really good again. I think the Giants team could be really good. I wonder if they're a division winner at this point. I wonder if they're going to end up being a wild card, you know, being more in contention for a wild card. Or, I don't know. As of right now, I wouldn't pick them to win the division. Very good season last year. But I think they take a step back. But I think they still could be in contention for a wild card. So, that's where I'm at. Let's go more to the back end of the division. Let's talk about the Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks could be really fun. They have good players. They just didn't put it together last season. I think you could use they need a little bit of everything. They ranked very badly in everything last year. I think this is a team that could have a huge turnaround. You got talent here. I still think you need a bit of an upgrade in this lineup if you can. I like Rojas, but I like him more as like a super utility kind of a guy. Varsho is a really athletic guy who I could see taking a bit of a step forward because he's just so athletic, and I really think he could end up being maybe like a 25-30 home run kind of a guy. What do they project him for next year? They have him projected for 16 home runs. I think he could even be more than that. This guy's stupid athletic. Where he has a 55, he could have a 55 hit tool. As of right now, 45 game power, but good speed. I think this is a guy to keep an eye out for. Dalton Varsho. Look out for him. Pavin Smith, I think he could end up getting even better. He had really good numbers this year for a rookie. Christian Walker, he doesn't excite me. That's why I'm wondering if maybe they can make an upgrade at first base if they can. I would love if they can make an upgrade offensively at short, but they do also one guy to keep an eye out for, where are the shortstops here, is Geraldo Perdomo. Last year, he had 37 plate appearances, and he did okay. Hit 258, 378 on base. I wonder if he ends up getting the job. So that's one guy I'm looking out for. And then for, where are we at here? Oh, no. Did I click out of the Diamondbacks? Oh, here we go. For the Diamondbacks, I'm looking at Zach Gallen. I think this is a guy. I'm waiting for Zach Gallen to just explode. I'm waiting for it. Go for that Cy Young. You know, I think this guy could end up being huge, man. I think, oh, man. He could definitely be good. So I worry a little bit about the rest of the rotation. Bumgarner. I don't know. I think Bumgarner is going to be, at this point, I think Bumgarner's a 3 or 4. But there are some options on the free agent market. Starting pitching, I wonder if they could end up going for someone like Carlos Rodon. I don't know if you need that many lefties at that point, though. Then you'd have, well, you don't have, it's just Bumgarner and then Tyler Gilbert. But Gilbert, look out for him. He actually did okay in 40 innings last year. So, but I think Carlos Rodon could be someone for the Diamondbacks. Give them a bit of a spark in that rotation. And then you got some other guys as well on here. You know, could you go for a low cost kind of a guy? So, yeah, I think the bullpen, they really need a guy for the bullpen. Really need a guy. Melanson, I thought, was a really nice low-key pickup. So, let's see what he can do. I think that was a really nice addition under the radar. So, look out for that. But the Diamondbacks, I think they have enough talent to really make a big turnaround. And there are some other guys in the minor leagues, too. Looking out for someone like Corbin Carroll. And we're going over here to the outfielders. Alec Thomas. Corbin Carroll, man, if this guy is healthy, holy cow, this guy could be really good. Alec Thomas as well. Looking at Corbin Carroll, this guy's got all the tools. He's just not healthy. But in 2021 last year, over 7 games, this guy was on fire. In high A ball, he hit 435, a 552 on base. Good grief. Man, good grief. Alec Thomas, too, had a good year in the minor leagues. AAA, 434 on base, 369 average. I think you just get a little more power. He could end up being really good. So, Diamondbacks, I'm looking out for them. I think they could end up being something. They could be a special team next year. They have the talent to do it. They do. They do. The Colorado Rockies. This is another team that I think could surprise some people. They had the best defense last year. I don't know if a lot of people noticed that. So look out for the Colorado Rockies. Look out. I think they could, if you could add something for this lineup, I think Kyle Schwarber would be stupid fun. That would be really fun. I think that could be an option. Look out for them. They were looking out at, they were on the Chris Bryant market, according to the reports. I think the Rockies end up trying to make a move. I think they can make a move. So look out. The rotation is actually not bad. It's not bad. You know, I like me Herman Marquez. You could argue he's been the best pitcher ever for them. Kyle Freeland, fine. Senzatella ended up being pretty decent. Gomber, he was a nice pickup. You know, they got him back in the Nolan Arenado deal, and he ended up being all right. Gomber had a 4.53 ERA, but the FIP, a little higher, 4.61. How was his, walked a few guys. Whatever, Gomber can be a nice back-end piece. But I think the Rockies, man, if they can add maybe another guy for the rotation, maybe a guy for the bullpen, I think they could be actually a kind of a sneaky team next year. I do like the infield. I like Ryan McMahon. I like Brendan Rodgers. I like that. You know, maybe could you bring back something? Could you maybe have some kind of a trade here? I wonder if they could line up for some kind of a trade or maybe you could add someone like Kyle Seager. You know, the good thing with Ryan McMahon is you can move him over, and then maybe someone like Kyle Seager, power bat right there. You can have McMahon play second. Brendan Rodgers can play short. And then Kyle Seager. It'd be a pretty nice bat for them. I mean, Chris Bryant would be huge, but I don't know if he ends up going there. So, alrighty, we've talked about the Giants. We talked about we got two more teams. Let's go to the Dodgers next, shall we? Dodgers losing to the Braves in that NLCS. I think the big guy they're going to be getting back, he's not projected to come back as of right now, but Trevor Bauer, I think he ends up making his return at some point. I think he is going to be a boost for this rotation. It looks like as of right now they could use it. Buehler, I like Buehler. I like him a lot. Obviously, good season last year. Julio Urias had a very good season last year, 185 innings. Gonsolin, I'm waiting for Gonsolin to get to that next gear. Need Gonsolin to get to that next gear, and I think the Dodgers really want him to. So you need more out of him. I think the Dodgers right now, I think for them, the big ticket would be Freddie Freeman. That's the big ticket. If you want to go spend your money, bring in Freeman. You know, you can move Muncy over to second, and then Freeman would be your first baseman. But I wonder, I've mentioned this in a couple of streams here. I wonder if they are okay with letting some payroll come off the books, because they're right now, I believe they've been over that payroll now for a few seasons. And those fines are just going to keep getting higher and higher, and you're going to keep losing more and more international signing money and draft positioning. You know, I'm wondering if the Dodgers, they want to reset that. Could they end up maybe trading someone off of this payroll? You know, not a lot of wiggle room. Not a lot. So Trevor Bauer could opt out after 2022, but is he going to opt out of $35 million? I don't think so. David Price is going to come off the books. I believe the Red Sox are paying half of his contract, so that's going to be $16 million coming off the books. And then still going to have Betts. Turner, there's going to be a vesting option. So I wonder if actually the Dodgers end up being pretty quiet and they don't end up getting Freeman, because as of right now, their payroll is at $232 million. Right now, I believe the luxury tax line was at like 210 or like 208. I can't remember what the number was exactly, but I wonder where that luxury tax line ends up being once the CBA talks come to an end. So, but I think for the Dodgers, they're pretty close to being under it. I think they'll be under it for maybe one more season, because you are going to have Price and probably Turner coming off the books. You brought back Taylor, and you got Pollock. He has a player option though. But Treinen, Muncy also has a player option for 23. Daniel Hudson has the, not player option, club option. Daniel Hudson has the club option. I think the Dodgers end up maybe standing pat, and they kind of let these younger guys come up. You do got guys that maybe could come up here. Taking it, let me actually go to the board. Let's go to the Dodgers. So you got maybe someone like Michael Busch who could end up coming up. Someone like Ryan Pepio who could end up coming up and helping. You got some guys, maybe even Clayton Beeter. You know, these guys have been pretty good. Bobby Miller, maybe. You know, so I think the Dodgers, I think they're going to actually, my prediction for the Dodgers is they end up going, you know, more towards their youth to try and, I don't know if they want to add Freddie Freeman's contract. On paper, it would be huge. It would be amazing to have Freddie Freeman in that lineup that replaces the Corey Seager bat, left-handed bat. What a replacement that would be. But I wonder if they do it. For the Dodgers, and you also do have someone like Gavin Lux, where this is obviously a former top prospect, and you're just waiting for him to bust out, you know. And I think if he ends up getting if he gets more another season, I think Gavin Lux, man, he could end up being really good. I mean, there's a reason this guy was a top prospect. You know, he did really well in the minor leagues. Man, I think he probably pushing a little bit last year. We'll have to wait and see. Could they end up trading him? I mean, as of right now, he is projected for their bench. Could they trade him for something? I don't know. I think they really want him to be a player for them. have him play second. Chris Taylor can end up being that utility guy who, finds a place to play every single day in a different position. So Bellinger, they're counting on him to bounce back. So, but I don't think the Dodgers end up doing too much. That's my prediction. I could see them getting Freeman, but I'm noticing they were okay with Seager and Scherzer going elsewhere, and they really got to get under that luxury tax line. They do, because they're only just going to keep throwing money away. I know money's not like the biggest thing, but I mean, let's be real here. Even the richest of the rich, they don't want to be throwing money down the toilet. They will go over that luxury tax line if they're winning. But it's not the best, in my opinion. I'm not an economist or whatever by any means, but in my opinion, I don't think throwing money in the trash can when you're not winning a World Series is really the best practice. And you got a lot of young players that could come up and help. So that's what I'm looking out for. Last team, the San Diego Padres. We saved the most fun, one of the most disappointing teams for the end. I think the big thing, are you going to be able to get rid of Eric Hosmer? I don't think so. I think that contract, it's too much. I don't think teams are going to be willing to take it. Someone like Will Myers, I think if you could get Will Myers and, because he has a negative value. If I pull up the Padres here, let me actually refresh this. Let me pull up the Padres. Let me show you I've shown this before on the stream, so if you haven't seen this before, I'm pulling up for you now. But if you look at the negative values, Hosmer has a negative 50.7. That's going to be extremely difficult to get rid of. Myers has a negative 12.8 because Hosmer is under contract more. And most likely Hosmer, I would imagine he opts back into that contract unless he has a really good year. But I don't know. I wonder if he ends up just opting back in and he makes the $13 million over the next couple of seasons. Myers, on the other hand, he has one more year of control, and then there's a club option. So he's going to be easier to digest. Put Myers with a prospect. Something like if you put him with someone like Hassel, you could end up getting a good piece in return. I think for the San Diego Padres, right now, I feel like they could use a bat. I feel like they need an impact bat. I know you got Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. It just felt like they really lacked last year. And I'm actually going to go pull up let's go to the batting last year. I believe they didn't rank very well in ISO percentage. Yeah, San Diego last year, they only ranked 23rd in ISO percentage, which is their ability to get extra base hits. So 23rd, they need guys that can, get a little more there, more bases. Slugging percentage, where did they rank? They only ranked 21st in slugging percentage last year. They were okay with on-base percentage. On-base percentage, they were 10th. But when it came to impact bats, total bases and whatnot, they didn't rank very well. And I think with home runs, I think they actually ranked near the bottom as well. They only ranked 23rd in home runs. So San Diego, they need a bit of an impact bat. They really lacked it. I think they want Hosmer to be that, but he's not going to be that. Looking at the batters, Castellanos is one guy that jumps right off. If you have the universal DH, that's a guy. Yes, he does tend to swing and miss a bit, but the guy had just fantastic numbers last year. Schwarber could be an option. Seager. I really think those could be guys that really help you. Even Nelson Cruz. I think if the teams, out of all the teams that could benefit with the universal DH, the Padres are right up there. They're right up there. You need a guy for this lineup. So that is what I think the Padres' main priority is. I would also like for them to add another starting pitcher for depth if they can. I know you brought in Nick Martinez, but this guy's been in Japan, so he wasn't very good when he was in the major leagues before he went to Japan. So is that's really, Clevinger, he's coming back from Tommy John, so who knows what you're going to get out of him. He always seems to be hurt with something. Musgrove, good last year, but he's had durability issues in the past. Darvish did make 30 starts, but you kind of wanted more innings out of Darvish last year. especially for the guy that you thought you were getting. Blake Snell, really up and down season last year. Had some good moments, but he ended up not being the guy that people thought he was going to be. I think there's question marks in this rotation. I think another bullpen arm would be nice. I think they need some pieces. You need a bat. I think you need some depth in the rotation, and then maybe a bullpen arm. That's what I think for the Padres. I think they definitely could get this together, but I think they're definitely a few pieces away. I think the bat is the big thing. Go get Nick Castellanos. That seems to make a lot of sense. So, everyone, I have gotten through all 30 teams. I appreciate you coming out tonight. About 2.5 hours tonight. So we got it done. We talked about all the teams. Those are the needs for all of the teams after the lockout that I think. Tell me down, but make sure everyone, if you can, comment after we're done tonight. Go into the comments on this video, on this stream, and comment what are some needs that you think that your favorite team needs. I would like to read them. Everyone, I read the comments. I do. I actually sit there and I take the time. Even all the mean comments, I go read the mean ones. But, unlike other YouTubers out there, I actually do read the comments. So please go comment on this once we're done here tonight. Let me know what needs do you think your favorite team, what they need. Let me know. But that is what I have for tonight, everyone. I want to thank you all. Had a good, nice, long stream tonight. Before I do get out of here, please hit that like button for me. It's really going to help this. If anyone is new, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20K by opening day. So, everyone, thank you so much. I will be back with something tomorrow night. But have a great night. Have a good day tomorrow. And I'll talk to you next time.